that right?
Yeah, you did. You woke up in the wee hours of the morning and went right at it again. The rest of us were like, no, we're done.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah.
There are couple seats up front here if anybody wants a seat.
Forward ladder. Sensibly, word for word. Someone, you know what, I wrote minutes like that.
All right, I'm going to call the Hancock Town Council April meeting to order. Can we have the roll call, please, Debbie?
Sure. Councilmember Figgy,
Present.
Councilmember Grubb, Councilmember Holdren,
Present.
Councilmember Marino. Here. Councilmember Knox, Councilmember Oswald, and Mayor Foskey.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic standing one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for showing up. A big crowd tonight. A couple of housekeeping items. Please turn your cell phones off. I've been guilty of that in the past. There will be a public hearing on the budget at the first item we talk about. There's also a council action on the farmers market location. I will allow public comment on that, as well as regular public comment at the end. So adjust your public comments to what the topic is about. But everybody will get a chance at the end if you want to talk about some other thing. All right, the first thing is the public hearing on the 2026 budget.
Wait a minute, minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right by it. Okay, yeah, do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the March meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion, changes or anything?
Yes, Debbie sent out an email today on page 2 of the minutes below the table of tax rate changes. When the police chief was talking, he was requesting a pickup truck as opposed to an SUV. So that clarification.
Okay, thank you. Any other
And Cindy, you had
comments?
something, but I don't
Go ahead.
remember.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
I commented that the code citation on page 6 was just formatted incorrectly and Debbie's fixed it.
Okay, any other comments about the minutes? All in favor of accepting the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, the next item is the public hearing on the 2026 budget. It was advertised in the newspaper. I'm going to open the public hearing on the budget, and Matt is going to give a few brief remarks about the budget. Can you talk into the microphone there if you can? We're not hearing.
How's that, a little better? All right. The budget this year was, the primary goal was to budget to get a fifth officer onto our police force and the associated training with it. That was a $91,000 total cost. And that's what we reduced other expenditures by and increased other revenues by in order to achieve that $91,000. So the budget that's been put before you is in balance with no real estate tax increase, with minor tax increases in personal property taxes. We're increasing our meals and tot rates from 5 to 5.5. And the combination of those are what are going to allow us to get that fifth officer.
Thank you. Mary Ellen, do you have the list for people who want to speak? Okay. Not for the public hearing. Wait till you hear from public. Budget. Let me remind you that there's a 3.5 minute time limit, and at 3 minutes, you get a little hand signal from Debbie over there. All right, Casey Greer.
Casey Greer, 74 Market Street. There were two things I wanted to mention. First, I wanted to say something about the ad in the Eastern Shore Post announcing the hearing on the budget. It was not a very, let me put it this way, it was pretty opaque. And I would think that you would have been better served by something that made what the categories meant, right? And what it was, I've had people ask me what it actually meant. And I said, well, it's an abstract, but I do think in the future, you might want to try to make it so that the categories are a little more intelligible. So the whole thing's a little more intelligible for people. Also, I'm just speaking up one more time in support of budget expenditure for the engineering study for the school. I feel really strongly, given the value of the property, and that it does belong to the town, that we really need to know what's going on there. And this is not to speak out in any way against what HOS has been able to do to the building to make it inhabitable. But the most recent, for example, the Becker Morgan report is 14 years old now. So even though its categories may be completely correct, and some of the small stuff that it mentions may have been accomplished or done by people like Hayden, who was very handy. In fact, it's the costs that it represents are probably not accurate at this point. And the building is undoubtedly, changing and evolving as old buildings do. So I just want to encourage that. This is aside from the budget, I also think it would behoove us to take every report that has been submitted and pool them together and try to figure out what's going on and where there are consistencies. The Becker Morgan report has excellent drawings, for example. So we may not need to pay for more drawings of the structure. So by using some material from other reports, we may be able to save money. So at any rate, thank you very much for your time. And you'll hear me later talking about planning commission since Cindy missed the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. Paul Wetzel. Oh, thank you. Priscilla Hart.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Priscilla Hart. I live on Market Street. Couple of things. In looking at the budget, after I was almost cross-eyed by 4 o'clock, so I can imagine for you folks. I'd like to make a couple of suggestions on mosquito spraying. Last year, we spent $8,000. I think this year, if I looked at it correctly, we're looking at 8,200, something like that. I would like to suggest that we eliminate mosquito spraying this year, mainly because it is harmful to wildlife. It's a known carcinogen to humans, and we can certainly save some money. Our economy has taken a serious downturn, no matter what side of the fence you're on. I think we can all look at it and say we got problems. So when I hear people worrying about their snacks and whether they should buy them or not, I think we should be cautious about how we are spending every penny here, particularly for this upcoming year. I looked at another item, credit card fees, $23,000. I don't understand what that is for. So is it time to ask that, or I'll just say that I don't know why that is? And are we charged a fee for using credit cards? That's it. I'm seeing a head shake there. $23,000 is what it costs the town to allow us to pay with credit cards.
I will let you, I normally don't allow questions, but in this case, at a budget hearing, it is an issue. So Matt's going to explain where that money is.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Every business has a percentage that they pay of their credit card charges. So we're no different than any other business.
So that's what that is for.
That's what that's,
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, when you use a
clarifies
credit
that.
card, we absorb the cost or not?
we do absorb the
Yeah,
cost.
it's at no cost to citizens.
Right. I was surprised at that. That's very good. Okay. My last question is, in looking at the budget, I looked and looked and looked, and unless it's buried somewhere in some other category, I really wasn't sure about the school and what was in there for the school. The other thing I wanted to ask about, and I looked completely through the budget, was what is going on and what are the expenditures? How much does it cost, or did it cost, to drill a well on the property at the historic Onancock School? There's a well that was just drilled behind the pavilion. It's got a big white pipe sticking up. We saw it. So I'm wondering, there was no mention of this at the last budget meeting. Apparently, there was a permit issued in March. So somebody here must know something, and whatever you can share with us to give us some transparency on that would be very much appreciated. For example, who authorized it? Since the property is owned by the town, that's one question. Who authorized it? What's the cost? And is taxpayer money being used to pay for this well this year or next year? I'm finished. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. That's the only people that signed up. Anybody else? Okay. Like I said, we don't normally answer questions, but we've had so few comments. The school there, to my knowledge, there's nothing in the budget for the school, correct?
We pay the insurance for the liability.
There's nothing in the operating, yeah, right. And the well, if I'm not mistaken, was paid for by the school,
Yeah,
correct?
that wasn't
And they,
our expenditure.
right, okay. Matt, some did, yeah, there's no.
I saw the permits, but and DEQ authorizes the use of shallow wells inside the RPA. So there was really no.
It's not a structure or anything, so.
No,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
hole.
And there was no authorization by the council or any knowledge of it being done until it was done. I'm just concerned that it's more prudent to ask forgiveness than permission. And somewhere along the line, I think that should have been asked permission to be on town property. It may be an asset, but to be honest, it should have been asked first.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing on the budget. Okay, all right, close. All right, thank you. Any council comments about the budget? We can't vote on the budget until next meeting. So we're not, no action will be, the council will not be voting on the budget tonight.
discussion.
Oh, yeah, we'll discuss it, yeah. All right, there are no public presentations. The next one is the council action, the farmer's market location. The subject of this council action has been in planning for nearly 2 years, and memories can grow vague about some of the particulars. So it is understandable that there have been some inaccurate perceptions about the process and the facts that have gone into some of these planning decisions. In order for the council to deliberate on this decision from a solid foundation of facts, we are fortunate to have 2 council members who, acting on behalf of the town and town council, have been liaisons with the Nancock Market during this process. Lisa Figge, as the town council representative on the Nancock Board of Directors, will outline the rationale for the market's request to locate in the Queen Street lot. Cindy Holdren, as the chairperson of the town-appointed Queen Street Parking Lot Design Committee, will review the process that has been followed by the town council and the committee to facilitate the location of the market in the Queen Street lot. I'd like to request that the questions from council to Lisa and Cindy wait until they've completed their reports. So Lisa, you're first up.
Why Queen Street? Why the Onancock Market exists and its importance to the downtown area. The Onancock Market was founded to bring local food, artists, music, weekly social gatherings to the downtown area for a very relatively sleepy and quiet Saturday mornings in Onancock. It has become an economic driver, helping to revitalize downtown by increasing foot traffic that has now grown to 13,000 people a year. The recent Onancock Main Street survey revealed that the Onancock Market is the second most often cited reason for people coming to the downtown. It also has showed that over 80% of the survey takers had come to the Onancock Market in the last year. We have heard from multiple business owners that the market significantly increases their clientele on Saturday mornings. Foggy Place, Imaginarium, Morphosis, Tim Smith, and the past Janet's Cafe and Market Street Antiques. So why the Queen Street parking lot? Every professional town plan that the town has ever commissioned in the last 3 decades has recommended a farmer's market in the Queen Street lot. It is town-owned land, which helps ensure that the market will not be displaced by a sale or transfer of ownership. It is the only public space in the center of the downtown district large enough to accommodate the area needed for the outdoor summer sessions, alongside the space for the winter market building. It is accessible by walking for most citizens of Onancock. The surrounding sidewalks, level and paved parking surfaces, and plenty of close-by parking make it ideal for handicapped shoppers. The visible location makes it easily discovered by boaters, overnight guests, and travelers who spontaneously come off of Route 13. The public restrooms and Wi-Fi provide necessary amenities and infrastructure for shoppers and vendors. This is something that the market has, until now, had to expend their limited funds to provide. The potential use for the winter building for the future weekday market, which would bring additional foot traffic into town. Many Saturday workers at the hospital, post office, etc., have expressed their desire to be able to shop for local fresh food at the market, but are unable to due to their schedules. And while we appreciate everybody's suggestion on alternative locations, we have considered them all, and I wanted to give you a brief rundown of why they are not the preference, and hopefully you'll see why. We must keep the winter building adjacent to the lot for use as storage for traffic cones, signage, setup supplies, water, a tent, etc. Shelter for food vendors to use on a rainy Saturday when the artists and artisans have canceled. Up until now, the vendors have stood in the rain to sell their food that they have harvested and baked that they have no other option to get rid of those things that have a shelf life. The market is one business operating in different seasonal modes. For promotional purposes, it needs to be identified as a single entry occupying one location. Excuse me. Other locations considered and eliminated were churches. Farmers can't miss a week of selling their produce. Churches cannot guarantee that their lots will be available every Saturday. They have weddings and funerals. Plus, they don't have the space to accommodate the winter market. Car place. The market vehicles will be hard on the lawn. The Historical Society has Saturday events, and the market cannot allow moving vehicles passing through during operation. which means the Historical Society could not be available or could not be available to allow visitors to drive in and park to tour the house on Saturday morning. Town Square will not allow vehicles on the lawn. There are not enough parking spaces available around the square for all the farmer trucks. Shoppers will end up parking on both sides of Market Street in that vicinity, creating an unsafe situation. Again, there is no place for the winter market. The Wharf, completely filled every Saturday in the summer, and no place for the winter building. Various private lots, the market could be displaced at any time due to sale or transfer of ownership. The market operates on a break-even basis, is unable to pay rent for private space. The market has never been charged for the lot and building that they have used for the last 13 years. Little League Field is invisible to the public, so the market would not easily be found. Most people would have to drive to it. Saturday mornings, most of the space is taken by families attending ball games. The dog park, invisible to the public. There would have to be a large expenditure of town funds to create a hardscaped space large enough to accommodate the market building, and the parking for shoppers. Overflow parking will end up being on narrow neighborhood streets. Historic Anancock School. We would need permission from the Friends of Anancock School, and it would have to fit into the school's long-range plans for the property. FOS would have to consider the impact of the loss of space and the parking availability that the market will occupy. They would also have to be willing to allow the placement of the winter market building. The location is still walkable to the downtown, but not as visible, nor as easily discovered by visitors to the town. This benefit of all foot traffic as an economic driver for the downtown businesses will be significantly lost. Thank you.
Cindy.
I'm going to outline the activities that have taken place to get us to this point. And I actually found an earlier one that I had realized. You all remember the Hill Studio studies that we undertook? And this presentation is dated 5/18/23. I think it's the one that they gave at HOS to the public. And so members of the public came to that presentation. In their presentation, there's a diagram that I know you can't see back there, but it shows the farmers market location in the Queen Street lot. That was part of the plan. We're talking May 2023. Then in January 2024, we finally got the final Hill Studio study, again showing the farmers market in the Queen Street lot. You'll remember that we had multiple occasions of public input for the Hill Studio effort and getting their plan together. Now, the remaining, the next segment of what I'm going to talk about includes public meetings that were town council meetings. So there are records of these minutes that you can certainly research. I'll be happy to send you a copy of what I copied down for it. April 22nd, 2024, Teresa Van Dessel gave a presentation on the Winters Farmers Market. And in the minutes, I'm reading from the minutes, currently the plan is to move the summer market behind the Lilliston building with hopes of building a structure to house the winter market at the same location. And at that point, town council encouraged Ms. Van Dessel to come back with a plan. On June 24, 2024, another public plan presentation by Teresa Van Dessel regarding updates on the winter market. We were emailed specifications for the new building for the winter market with renderings attached. At that point, we received a petition signed by over 100 people to keep the farmers market in the downtown district by allowing space in the Queen Street parking lot. We really received an outpouring of support for that plan and went forward from that, thinking that it was to the betterment of the town and the businesses located in town, as well as the farmers market businesses located in the downtown area. So I move to approve the plan as presented. Councilmember Knox seconded the motion, and it was passed on a 3-2 vote. There was, following that, there was a council discussion of gathering stakeholders, including the property owners around the Queen Street lot, to determine what concerns they had about the plans that have been presented. The first meeting of that group occurred July 22nd, 2024. And no, actually it was before that because that's the date of the town council meeting. And I presented the notes from that that meeting of the stakeholders. So I reviewed those and it is available online, I think, as an attachment to those meeting materials on July 22nd, 2024. Let's see. In that taking of minutes, at that point, we'd approved the location of the winter market, I believe behind the building that currently has the restrooms in it. On September 9th, 2024, the market requested that town staff administer a grant that they wanted to apply for from the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services to partially fund the winter market building. And that motion made by Councilmember Wetzel moved to allow town staff to administer the grant. I seconded the motion and it passed with a 6-0 vote. So that allowed them to apply for funds that would help build the winter market. October 28th, 2024, we had another discussion regarding the market location, winter market location. I moved to approve finding a location for the winter farmers market as part of the Queen Street lot. I believe that this was caused by equipment that was placed behind the original approved location. After we'd approved it, then there's suddenly a HVAC unit on the ground that pushed the building forward. And there was some HVAC equipment, I think, on the back of the Lilliston building. The upshot was that it wouldn't fit in that space anymore. So I made a motion that we approve a location within that lot. Councilmember Knox seconded the motion and the motion carried with a 5-0 vote. And I think that I can go through the list of the parking lot stakeholders meeting. That's the adjacent property owners, those stakeholders. I can go through that list, but we have met twice with the full group and probably 3 or 4 times with a smaller group that had concerns, mostly about the drainage and right-of-way concerns, because that piece of property has very confusing lot lines. They're not clear. It's really jumbled up. So that kind of brings us to last month when I went through this in some detail also. And at that point, the council was not ready to make a decision and agreed to seek more comment and hopefully come to a decision tonight.
Okay, council, we got council comments. We'll start with Omar. Yeah. Any questions for anybody, anything presented?
Well, it seems to me that, like I said, I'm just getting here, and you guys have been discussing this movement for the market for quite some time. I understand about what you were saying before about the property that is owned by the town. And I think you and I were supposed to get together to talk about something. I just got so busy, whatever the case is. But, and just, I mean, and I said it last meeting when I was saying about the parking lot down by the dialysis building. It was just, it was, I thought about it in my way where I'm saying, it's a bigger parking lot. There's a lot more way for people to move around traffic-wise, as opposed to whatever problems we're having at this, on the Queen Street. I think it'll be, it's just bothering me this, but I do understand why, because of the property. That I understand. But I just think that parking lot would be a much better place because it's so much bigger. You know, it'll make room for other people of Onancock to go and set up tables if they would like to set up tables. You know, it would bring a little more business or people or to that end of Market Street, downtown's going to always be downtown. People are going to always go downtown, as I see it. You know, I think also down here, downtown, during the time that the farmer's market is going on in the morning, there is so much traffic that's not making it this far because they're going to the baseball game. All of that traffic that's going to the baseball games where people can actually, oh, shoot, look, the farmer's market. You know, they may want to stop there too. You know, and because the games it's 2 games, one at 10, one at 1. They come in waves. The people are going to come and leave at waves. I think the farmers may prosper a little more with that much more traffic coming through, because if you ever go to that baseball field on a Saturday morning, it is jam packed. You know, there are tons of people up there. You know, it's just, like I said, it's not blocking anybody's driveway, which I remember somebody was saying something about it was blocking their driveways. You know, I don't know. I still can't wrap my whole head around this, putting it on Queen Street. You know, I mean, it's going to cost X amount of dollars to fix it, to get it right, where I think that parking lot up there is pretty much already ready, if you ask me. You know, also the same effect for when you said, Mayor, that you didn't want to separate where the summer's market is and where the winter market is. The way I see it is this way. During the summertime, there are so many more people moving up and down 13 that may not drive all the way down here to the market. But if it's up that closer to 13, it's a little more access for people. During the summertime, there's more fruits and vegetables and stuff growing, and people doing whatever it is that they're doing at the house, that they can go set up their tables. And, you know, I'm saying just Onancock residents, so we can all prosper, so to speak. And it'll make it down that way. It'll make it more feasible for people just traveling. During the wintertime, there's not that many. I mean, keep it in the same building. And the main people that's going to be here is going to be the locals. It's not going to confuse the locals. The locals are here, so they know where it is. It's going to be downtown uptown, I should say, where when the people who come here to visit, stay at the Airbnbs and what have you, whatnot, when they leave to go to Walmart, Food Line, where else is, they still got to go that way and pass it, and will still be access to them as well. You know, I just think that, I mean, granted, you guys have been discussing this for years before I got here. I mean, you got plans already drawn up for it. I just think that it should be that way, you know, uptown. I just see that there's more. Well, you know what I am. But I guess it just seems like it's more. It would be more. What's the word I want to say? Where more people can get to it, if it's that way, because it's just like that's just how I see it, you know. And that's it. I'm done. I'm gonna start confusing myself if I keep going into it.
Can we ask questions about Omar's comments, Mr. Mayor? You had a question? Okay.
My preference is for it to be for the market winter and summer to be in the Queen Street lot. The work that's planned for the Queen Street lot, correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy, is essentially the same in terms of the lot and the markings, whether or not the market goes there.
Yes, that's correct.
So doing or not doing the Queen Street lot, to my mind, is not a decision factor of where the market is placed. I know of one business in particular whose normal opening time is 10 a.m., but on Saturdays, because of the market and because of the traffic from the market, because the market opens at 9, that business opens at 9, which to me is is as strong an indicator as any of the draw that the market is to downtown. My preference is for Queen Street.
If the draw to downtown is the market and people are opening their businesses to coordinate with that, they should open with the corner bakery because that's the big draw on Saturday morning downtown. They should change hours to work with that. The idea of the problem that the market foresees as not being stable in one place. That's why I've recommended more than one time that it be on the school property, which is town property and will always be town property. The market is a cultural and art center, whatever. People can go, it would be a benefit to those artists who are housed in that school to have the market be an augment to their businesses. By downtown being, the parking lot being occupied on the busiest day for retailers is Saturday, and having that parking lot occupied with a market, you're going to kill Saturday morning parking downtown. I can tell you from being in retail for years and years in this town, that on Saturday by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can roll a bowling ball right down the middle of the street and hit nothing or no one. So it's by deterring the traffic that you do have on Market Street by putting that market there and taking up these parking spaces, which will be used by the tenants in the Lilliston building, by hopefully other businesses downtown. It's the wrong place for it. It's not fair to those businesses all over downtown. I think the putting the market at the school where there's plenty of land, there's plenty of parking, and it's non-intrusive to the neighborhood. It's the right place to do it. It's the right thing to do. And it's the right thing to do for the town in perpetuity. Thank you.
Obviously, since I've worked on this plan for so long, I support locating it in the Queen Street lot. I think we've proven via statistics that the market brings people into town. I'm not sure, in response to Mavis's comments, I'm not sure how many people would come to town without the market. The data shows that a great deal of people are brought to town by the market, and so I don't see it as competitive for other people coming to the market that wouldn't be able to park. And another thing is that I'd like to comment, the school has a lease from the town. We don't have the authority, I don't believe legally, to tell them that this market is going to go there. They have to meet, they have to consider their needs and their uses of the property, and they have to decide that it fits with their mission and their activities. It isn't as simple as saying, you have to put it there. Thanks.
My concern is we're putting the cart before the horse. I am not opposed to moving the market to Queen Street. I would support that, but I would like to see some things happen first. These are very uncertain economic times. We don't know what next year, next month, 2 years from now, 3 years from now can be, but that's always true. I have 2 points. I'll make them brief. One is that we are asking to move from one undeveloped parking lot to another undeveloped parking lot, but that is not needed until a year from now, because it's been said that this summer market will stay at the Foskey lot. We have to build the Queen Street parking lot, which at our completion rate for getting things done, could take 2 to 3 years and could climb from the 350,000 we have budgeted to, who knows, 700,000. So my point is, let's build it. And let's all go stand in it and look at it and say, well, this will work or this won't work. And then we can vote. We don't know until we stand there. I'll give you an example of some data that supports that. We moved the winter market prematurely, whereas if we'd went there and looked, we would have seen. So that's an example of we acted before we collected enough data. And I have to say the Sunset Park down at the wharf, and never having seen any plans for it or standing there, I was surprised when I went down to see how many parking spots it took, and people have been talking to me about that. The Hill Studio plans that Cindy was kind enough to share with me does not allow for parking near the theater because it comes in on Ames Street, and the angles will not allow us to pull in beside the theater and park. And it doesn't show where the farmer's market would be located. There is some ink on the, as far as where we didn't even have a survey when this was done. We just recently got the survey to see. The plans for the parking lot have not been approved by your representatives on council, but we're being asked to allow a 501c3 onto the property before we do that. So I think we should do an informal drive-through market survey on a couple Saturdays this summer to see how the parking lots is utilized after it's built. We have a year that we can study this and make a correct decision. Again, I think we're putting the cart before the horse. Couple more sentences. Everybody loves the market. I love the market. For 40 years, I was in a partnership in a farming operation. Everybody loves the market where it is, downtown, on that spot. So have we talked about exploring the possibility of renting the lot from the Foskis like the town does with the parking lot on King Street? And I am very interested in a question to Councilman Grubbs. He brought this up last month. Was that part of your analysis of places to move? Was his suggestion from last month?
No, it was not.
Okay, thank you.
Wanted to address you first, Councilmember Moreno. One of the issues with waiting and seeing is that the market has a grant that's on the table now. And so we only have so much time in which to spend it to put that money into the winter market building.
Yes, the winter market.
Yes. So I wanted to keep that in your minds
We
as
have
well.
approved that.
Correct. And the state has granted the funds, but they have to be expended by a certain time. So if we sit and wait and see, we could lose out on those dollars completely.
Yeah, we've approved it.
Solid.
Yeah.
That's where the winter market is.
Yeah.
I think you're mixing.
Oh, so to me, it's one market. It's we're doing,
No.
but we are doing business as one market. It is one market. We added on the winter market as an additional benefit during COVID, and it just took off. And so we've stuck with this. This was not the original model of the market. I want to keep the grant money. I personally don't want to see them separated, which is why to Councilmember Grubb's point, I'm not sure that we did look into that parking lot. I do know that there is an event space that's rented out there, so I'm not sure if the parking lot would even be available every week.
But I talked, God, what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. The one who runs the events. Half of those events don't start till at the earliest 4 p.m.
Okay, and does she own the property?
No, she doesn't.
Okay, have they made, and I see that it's up for sale, so what if we were there and then all of a sudden it gets sold and we get kicked out again? And then my other question is, are they gonna ask for rent?
Well,
Because
that's what I was saying.
we
Well,
don't
that's what I
have
said. I
money,
understood.
yeah, so we don't have money for rent. The Foskis have been extremely generous for us. I also did drive around the property after you had suggested it. And I think the nice thing about the market being downtown is that it is so walkable to go to other businesses. And I don't think foot traffic, you would lose all that foot traffic downtown And I don't think people would come and go because there's crossing Market Street to maybe go get a sandwich from the Onancock Deli could be treacherous, and there's really nothing open around there during those operating hours.
But as my little bit of researching that I was doing, I know people with a food truck that said he would go set up down there. I
So
know somebody
vendors
with an
have
ice
to,
cream truck that would go set up down there.
sure, vendors have to pay to be a part of the market. That's how the
That's-
market generates
I- yeah.
money so that they can
I-
actually advertise for the things that we're
Yeah,
doing there.
And trust me, they know that, you know.
I don't think we can hear Fletcher.
The market is not allowed vendors to be in the market because they don't want to compete with the bricks and mortar people, restaurants that are downtown. That's the reason why it's nice to have the market downtown. It brings people down and they go to the restaurants. It's a walkable type thing. And so they don't allow, they haven't allowed vendors. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that now. I see, but it's just.
All right. Anyhow.
And I would like to think that everybody would continue to go downtown after they were done shopping for their groceries, but I'm not sure that we would get the same kind of flow downtown for those businesses.
He did recognize or not?
Hold on, we're gonna let, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sure. Anybody, yeah, the management's sitting out here so they can answer a question. Yeah. What kind of question do you have? What?
That means they have to, every vendor in our market has to roam, behave, or call what they're selling. So a taco truck or a hot dog truck would not qualify to be in the market. So no matter where we set up, you have to apply to be in the market. And we try not to, we have a balance, so we don't have an overabundance of food. So people can't just show up with an abundance of tomatoes that they've grown in their backyard and sell at the market. It's an application
Mr. Mayor.
process.
Okay, okay.
Could you identify the speaker for those who don't know who she is, please?
Yeah. Okay.
Our biggest concern
Yeah.
is that if there was overflow,
Takes up more
parking
space
needed,
than you
people
think.
can park on Market Street where it's not allowed. And.
As big as that lot is? As big as that lot is? I mean, there is.
Up a lot of space, and again, it's private, it's for sale, we could be displaced next year.
Right, I mean, that part I understand, but
I'm sorry, that's.
Okay, yeah.
Answer questions.
All right, let's get some, we traditionally have, we're going to allow public comment. Is there a sign-up sheet for this? Yeah. Angela Ferraro? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, hello, my name is Angela. I live in Parksley. I've been a vendor at the Onancock Market since it started 14 years ago. I'll make this short since other people I know want to speak also. But in short, I feel the Onancock Market is a valuable asset to the residents and the businesses of Onancock. It's valuable for the residents because a lot of people in town who come to rely on the fresh produce, eggs, meats, and breads that the market provides. They've also expressed that it's important to them to know where their food comes from. This may sound simplistic, but with everything going on in the world right now, knowing where your food comes from and what's in it is very important. Knowing that it's going to be there, even if there is a shortage or distribution problem somewhere else, you might not be affected by that. This is because the Onancock Market is the only year-round market on the shore and the only market where everything is vendor produced. You have to grow, raise, or bake it yourself in order to be a vendor. The market is also extremely valuable to the businesses in the downtown historic district because of the close proximity. Every week, I receive pre-orders from people who drive in from Chincoteague all the way down to Cape Charles. When these people are in town, they're not window shoppers. They're already planning on spending money when they get into town. I'm constantly asked, where can we get a cup of coffee? Where should we go to lunch? Where can we buy cards or a cute outfit? How many galleries are in town? You can't buy that kind of advertising. It just happens naturally when customers are walking around through the market. This is why the Queen Street location is so important for the town of Nancock. It is right in the downtown district, can be seen by someone who is walking around town, and it's very accessible to the local shops who benefit from the over 13,000 visitors that the market brings in each year. That's it.
Thank you.
For your time.
Joel Simpson?
Hi, I'm Joel Simpson, live in Assawoman, and I've been a vendor and a customer of the market for quite a few years. And I just would like to express my support for the Queen Street location, mostly because of a lot of reasons have already been brought up with regard to the business aspect of it and all that. But there's more to for me, there's more to the market and what it does for Nancock than just the business part, and that it's a cultural thing. Families come, they bring their children, they bring their dogs, they hang out, they go get a cup of coffee, they go get a donut, they come and get fresh produce, and there's music, usually local music. And so that scene that gets created by people coming into town to go to the market or winding up at the market is something that, as far as I know, is unique to downtown and Nancock on the shore. We've been to other markets. We've been vendors at, say, at Chincoteague. It's a whole different vibe. Okay. And this very wholesome, family oriented, with music and all that, it's just very different here in Nancock. And I think that has its own value, and that value gets depleted the further it moves away from other businesses, the further it moves away from the main street and the main flow of foot traffic. And I think that's one great value of having it, keeping it down where it is. And from a business standpoint, we've been in private business for years, and I've been around. I just think it's hard to replace what the market does for downtown. One of the things, and this will be what I end up on, is one of the things that surprised me is when I'm vending, and we don't vend every weekend, but when we vend, the number of people who come from the marina, who have come into town on their vessels, that come up to go to the market to buy fresh produce, and then they find that, because they know that the word is out with the people on the water know where they can go get food, right? Because there aren't everywhere there are marinas, there isn't easy access to food, and they know if they come in on Saturday in Nancock, they can come get fresh produce, and then they find a lot more than that. And so that kind of shocked me, how many people come into town by boat and they come for the market. But so I'd just like to voice my support for the Queen Street location and support of the work that's been done over the last couple of years to identify that as the best place to have it. Thank you.
Elsie Feldhaus? Oh, okay, thank you. I'm trying to skip around here. Glenn Smith?
Glenn Smith, 12 Market Street. I'm in favor of the market, not the winter market or the summer market, the market, moving to the Queen Street parking lot. I don't agree with much that Maphis says, but when she said at 3 o'clock, you can roll a bowling ball down Market Street and hit nothing. Well, if you don't allow the market to remain in downtown, the only thing you're going to hit at 8 o'clock in the morning is that car that's parked illegally in front of the bakery.
Rick King? You're not on that? Okay. Donna Marino?
I have been in the market for about, I think, 5 years, and it's very unique in terms of.
And her name.
Oh, you got to tell your name and where you live?
Oh, Fisherman Lane.
No, just either in town or out town. Yeah. You don't live in Hancock, right?
Yeah, Fisherman's.
That's
Well,
that's not in the town of Anacog.
No, at Deep
Yeah,
Creek.
that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I think the members of the vendors are very passionate about their business, and by having a disruption that can be eliminated would certainly help the flow. And I know that the town people that walk around the Market Street look forward to that market being there. And like he said about the marina group, the people that come off the boats, they really love coming to the market. That's a limited amount in the summer, but we do really good job for the town. I think we should continue. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You kicking the market,
Dana Simpson.
kicking the market out. from your lot.
Oh, that's not an issue.
Later.
Is it about the market?
Yeah.
Okay, no, thank you. Jim McGowan?
Hello, good evening, Mayor Foskey and council members. I've been an Anacog resident for nearly 35 years and an Anacog homeowner for 31 years. Well, I'm a member of the Anacog Planning Commission since January 2025 and I am writing today and speaking today as a private citizen. I'm speaking to support town council action tonight to allow the Anacog Summer and Winter Farmers Market, including the new Winter Market building, to be permanently located in the Queen Street parking lot. The Anacog Farmers Market has been a wonderful economic and social asset for the town, drawing hundreds of people to Anacog on Saturday mornings. Visitors to the farmers market also shop at Anacog stores and eat at our restaurants. As downtown Anacog has changed over the years, and I've seen a lot of changes in almost 35 years, we used to have more real businesses, restaurants, and now we have a lot of vacant buildings. As the downtown has changed, the farmers market has provided new vitality for residents and visitors. My wife and I shop at the market weekly and really enjoy the fresh produce, baked goods, eggs, and meats grown by our local farmers. We also enjoy running into neighbors and friends and catching up on local news. The relocation of the market to the town-owned Queen Street parking lot was requested in May 2023, almost 2 years ago. In January 2024, Anacog's planning consultant, Hill Studio, included the farmers market in the plan for the Queen Street parking lot. In September 2024, the town agreed to administer a Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services grant, that's VDAX grant, to pay for the new winter market building. In October 2024, the town council voted unanimously to locate the winter market building in the Queen Street parking lot. In March 2025, Hill Studio delivered the final plan for the Queen Street parking lot, including the location of the summer farmers market and the winter market building. The VDAX grant has been approved and additional private funds are available to pay for the winter market building. The project is ready for approval after 2 years and many committee meetings. And I'd like to say I've worked in regional and county planning for 20 years. I know how hard it is to get these things done. I commend the council for forming a committee, working with residents and property owners, and also to do that grant. I've written a lot of grants. When you get a grant, you need to use the grant. If you don't use the grant, the grantees are not going to be favorable next time around. So I would like to thank the council, the Anacog Farmers Market, and adjacent property owners for working together during the past 2 years to plan the relocation of the market and for providing Anacog residents the opportunity to comment on the project. It has been a real community effort, and I hope the council approves relocation of the market tonight. And just regarding the uptown lot.
Time's up, yeah.
Is it up? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Mark Sinclair?
Good evening, Mark Sinclair, just outside of town. I've come to the conclusion that the only time I'm going to worry about a project is after you all vote to approve it. I mean, I watch what happened to the school. I'm watching what happened to the market here, and I just don't understand it. You all went through the whole process. You voted for it, you discussed it, you argued about it, you went out and looked at it, you did everything you needed to do, and now we're back to square one. So I'm confused by that. As far as moving the market, I think that would be a huge mistake. You made the market for one reason, to support the Hancock business downtown. That's what it's supposed to do. Currently, it's in the best spot I can imagine it being in, but I can appreciate why it needs to move. Second best spot is the Queen Street parking lot. You all know it. I know it. Pretty much everybody knows it. It'd be the most successful for downtown. The idea of moving it over to, I'm assuming you were talking about where the old Meatland was. Is that the building you're discussing?
Yes.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also, I think it's like a dialysis company that's in that building. And they operate on Saturday mornings, and they're
closed on Saturday.
they're closed on Saturday?
Closed on Saturday.
Okay, well, I'll give you that one, but I still think that's a horrible location. I would tell you as far as the school, well, I'm confused. Counselor Oswald, you were the one a year and a half, 2 years ago, saying that 500 people once or twice a month would be horrible for what would happen to the Johnson Street area and that whole thing. Now you're saying that there's 13,000 people that come a year. That sounds like about 500 people a pop. That's a lot of parking that I don't understand how you're planning on handling the parking. Are we going to have more police officers to maintain the streets? I don't understand. I think the market deserves to be in the Queen Street parking lot where you all discussed it, where it was decided, where it was voted on. That's where it should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we voted on it.
Priscilla Hart? No pass. Maggie Grant?
Hi, my name is Maggie Grant. I am a resident of Onancock, downtown Onancock. And I have a 3-year-old daughter, and we walk to the farmer's market almost every Saturday. It's really a cultural experience for her. We talk about the fruits and veggies that are grown locally, and we meet the people that are there at the market. We also use it as a time to meet with our neighbors and our friends. We listen to the live music and dance, and it's a real experience on Saturday mornings. We also have a family short-term rental on King Street. And whenever our guests come, they say, what is there to do in Onancock? And immediately I say, on Saturdays, you have to go to the farmer's market and then just walk around town and see, what else is around. But the farmer's market is where you should start and kind of go from there. So again, it's a real experience for everybody, and to not have it in downtown Onancock, I think would just be a shame. The other thing I wanted to comment on, the map that was shown at the last meeting, it didn't have any driveways being blocked. I think Maphis said it would block some driveways, and I didn't see that. And then Coldwell Banker Harbor Realty, they have private parking for their tenants that will be in the Lilliston building. That's it. Thank you.
Marjorie Liberty? No. Mara Davis?
Hello, my name is Maura Davis, and I'm a resident of Onancock and an occasional vendor and a patron of the market. The market is hometown charm. It's a community that comes together to offer fresh produce, baked goods, homemade dog treats, CBD, and different kinds of art, just to mention a few. I believe the town does benefit from having the market, and the town also benefits having the vendors who may need a coffee or drink, or may want some goodies to nosh to keep them going. So obviously, I feel Onancock Street, Queen Street is the very appropriate site for the market to be in. To me, it makes the most sense for all. We would be just across the street, so our neighbors could easily find us, and our neighbors can keep their routine of visiting every Saturday morning. We, the vendors, are polite, and we keep our sites clean, and we all care about Onancock. You could say we are the ambassadors to Onancock, because people come to us and will ask us, what's what? Where should we go? Where should we eat? What gallery should we pop into? We're the ones that are talking.
constantly to the people and the influx that comes in. It's really a lovely experience. It does have that hometown feel when our society is moving so far away from that. You know what I mean? So I believe, as I know a lot others do too, Queen Street is the most logical place for us to be. Thank you.
John Figgy? I'm getting closer.
Good evening. John Figgy, 35 Meadville Drive in Hancock, of course. And so I've lived in town about 45 years. And I used to ride my bike down to the wisest drugstore after cutting lawns on Saturday morning. So coming to downtown has been in my blood for 50 years, almost 50 years. And the Queen Street parking lot is just pretty clearly, from a business point of view, in my opinion, from town revenue point, from the fact that we have a great spot for families, is a no-brainer. You have the critical mass in business. You need a critical mass. If you put one McDonald's up way over the yonder, they'll do a little business. But if you put a Burger King and a Taco Bell near them, they all do better. They all do better. Critical mass. And we've heard it 20 times already. You can grab the coffee. You can peruse the art. You can buy the art. You pick up your vegetables, your bread, and you make a great day out of it. I think it's absolutely clear winner to pick Queen Street. And, some of the other locations seem like they might possibly make some sense, but not anywhere near, in my opinion, what Queen Street would do. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey? Okay. Let's see, Tony Nelson?
Hi, Tony Nelson. I live in Only. I have a business at 44 Market Street. I've been to most of these meetings for many years where we've been talking about this. And I listened and sympathize with both sides, all sides, because there's more than two. What Joy Marino brought out is, although we have been talking about this, Lisa, who is in favor of voting, and I guess voting tonight for the farmer's market, and I understand that, did not know until the last meeting that we had huge drainage issues with the Queen Street lot. Joy Marino pointed that out tonight, that we are putting the cart before the horse. If we put buildings and assign that space for the farmer's market, when we don't even know, because of the drainage issue, whether we should put, when we built the lot behind the police station, it's not all impervious surface. We have some drainage that goes in there. They put in grass. If we have the farmer's market has been designed pretty much with the farmer's market in mind. The Queen Street lot, rather, has been designed. Hill Street was not, they didn't come in blindly to do the parking lot like a parking lot needed to be done. They came in at the instruction of the town as how the town wanted it done. And the town wants the farm market there. I'm not opposed to the farm market being there. I think it's been a wonderful thing, and I fully understand that. But we need to clear up the drainage. And if they have a grant, God bless them, I hope they get to use it. But we need to get the drainage. We need to get the lot clarified and designed properly. We have residents who live surrounding the lot. They've only been consulted once, and they were pretty much, their feelings were pretty much disregarded. We have young children who live adjoining the parking lot, and the homeowner expressed concern about the safety of those children. So it isn't all cut and dried. It would be nice if it were. We would have the parking lot done and finished. but we've got a long way to go. So I just say, let's not push it right now. Thank you.
John Simpkins?
I'm John Simpkins, live on King Street, and I'm just here to voice my unequivocal support for the location on Queen Street for the market. It sounds like, the people that are running the market find that location to be most favorable. They've been looking at this for a long, long time. I'm assuming they know a lot more than I do about the value of that location, and that's why they're pushing for it. And I think it's a great spot. It's not far from where it was. And I support that spot. That's all.
Thank you. Paul Wetzel? Linda Nolan?
Hello, I'm Linda Nolan, resident and also co-owner of the Spinning Wheel B&B. And I am for the Queen Street location. I also want to mention, routinely on a Saturday morning to guests, we always mention the market. And there's usually someone or more than one who will take us up on the suggestion and go there, as well as to the local places in town. And they always come back with a positive comment and a smile on their face. And I don't want to see that disappear. Thank you.
Bill Kreutzmann?
Bill Kretzer. My wife and I own Morphosis Gallery at 33 Market Street and believe that the Onancock Market is a social and economic asset for the downtown area. Saturday for us is the busiest day of the week, mainly due to the market. Many residents walk downtown to shop locally and to meet their neighbors. We have had many people come into our gallery just because they have been on their way either to the market or from the market. We have numerous customers from other parts of the shore who come to Onancock to shop at the market. I met someone a couple of weeks ago in Snow Hill. When he knew I was on Onancock, he said, "Oh, we go down to the market all the time." I told him about our store. He says, "Oh yeah, I've seen that. I'm going to have to come in." We can't imagine any business owner who is not interested in new customers or does not want the downtown area to flourish. We fully support moving the market to the Queen Street lot and urge the town council's approval. And one more thing, Councilman Grubb, you're beating a dead horse. I understand, that lot up there, but it's not going to work. So please join with the others and let's go for Queen Street.
Tiara Tracy, last one.
Hi, Tiara Tracy, Ames Street resident, and I'm just here to show my support for the farmers market to be moved to Queen Street. I think it makes sense. And from everything I've read and heard the past couple of years about the market being moved, it seems like it's not a unanimous decision, but it's what the people of Onancock want. And if that's what the people want, I think the town council should move to approve that decision tonight to move it to Queen Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes. Okay, I must have, okay, come on up. What did you sign the, okay, I must have, okay, no, you're fine. I must have missed you.
My name is Dawn Simpson.
Oh, I did miss you.
I do not live in town.
Yes.
My husband and I are artisan vendors at the market and have been for several years. And I am in wholehearted support of the move to the Queen Street location. Last year, by the middle of the summer, my husband and I made the decision. We were previously doing both this market and market at Chincoteague. We made the decision to exclusively do the summer markets here at Onancock. And my main reason was repeat customers. And as others have said, our repeat customers are the people who are walking on foot from their homes in Anacog and those who are coming by boat to the marina. That business is, it's like it's a community. You become a family. You learn to learn more about people that you meet, and then they come back and give you more business. And I believe that would be lost, at least for us, if you move to a different location that is out of the downtown area. We appreciate those local folks who are on foot that come back to buy our merchandise that we make ourselves. And we appreciate those who are coming by boat and spending the time here. And as others have said, we are often asked, where can we go grab lunch? What do you recommend? What's right here in the downtown? And we are happy to share that and send them on to hopefully patronize other businesses in the downtown area. And I just want to finish by saying that I think Teresa and Janet are tremendous to work with, and I appreciate all their efforts, and they have made it a very good experience to be a participant in the Anacog market. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Sheila Shepard Vera. My husband Raul Vera and I are the current owners of Foggy Place Cafe at 23 Market Street. I would like to speak in support of the Queen Street location that the farmers market organizers are advocating for. I completely understand that you need to have a very thorough process because this is public land that they're asking to be permanently established on. And I think that your consideration of every aspect of it is entirely appropriate. However, I would like to encourage you to still move forward, even though there are still some concerns, because the cost of not moving forward and continuing to drag this may have a greater impact on the town in the end. Foggy Place Cafe has depended on Saturday mornings, very much so, ever since we started 3 years ago, to survive. It has been extremely important for our business. You can count on it that a Saturday morning people will come from the market, and that has kept us afloat. We very much appreciate the market, the organizers, and the sense of community. I also will share a personal story that about 4 years ago, I was a resident of Cape Charles. I honestly never came up to Anacog for very much besides Maurice and maybe a couple other things. But I saw an advertisement in the paper for the Anacog Holiday Market, and I hadn't really discovered Anacog, so to speak. I showed up at this market with my daughter. We found our way to Janet's Cafe. We were absolutely charmed, and it inspired me to move here, invest my life here, and work on the cafe, which I think has contributed to the community. So you can see the interconnectedness of the market and how it is truly a part of the fabric of this community. So I truly encourage you to move forward. And even though there are some things you still need to consider, don't let this die. These people have worked so hard to get this going. You got to get that grant money. We got to move forward and still consider everyone's concerns. Thank you.
Yeah, one other. Yeah.
Thank you, Adrian Granston, a resident of Only and a vendor at the Anacog Market for the past several years. Thank you for your time, all your efforts. I just echo everything that everyone has already said about voting for the Queen Street location. I think it's vital for all the previous reasons. And just one other note, I would say I'm originally from not on the shore, but I grew up here. And I think Anacog is the main draw for a lot of folks who are non-residents on the Eastern Shore. As a previous real estate agent, it's one of the main points that I give to my clients and say, you have to come down, you have to come and see what's going on the Eastern Shore. Aside from Chincoteague and Cape Charles, Anacog is the other draw. So it's one of the main things that we use to bring people here. And we want to continue that right here downtown at the Queen Street parking lot. Thanks.
And I also have, and council got emails. I have 15 emails from Anacog citizens that I distributed to council in support of the move to Queen Street. I have 2 emails from Anacog business owners that are on your dies here. And I have 5 patrons of the shore that don't live in town that have sent emails to you to look at. And then I have 2 patrons and vendors. So there's a total of, I don't know, 25 emails that you have access to in support of the farmer's market. I have no emails, against the farmer's market. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, I'll close the public comment and turn it back to Cindy. Yeah. Sorry, I can't. Sure, yeah, go ahead. I wish you'd said something earlier, but come on.
Fletcher, I was wondering if Sheila Shepherd is a resident of Anacog. She did not.
No, she's not anymore.
Joe Hill, 28th Street. I think they're all good ideas. I think we may be missing an opportunity with the Anacog School. It's got plenty of parking. You could come in, most of our traffic we're going for is tourist traffic on those days, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
The 13,000 people that shop here. are
No,
paying
they're not
tourists.
tourists.
So we're not going for any tourist traffic.
Well, we are, but
Yeah.
it's local people.
So my vision, what sets that location apart? The main thing that comes to me is that elaborate playground equipment. So I'm coming with my dog Quincy. I had a little Joe, little Joe. You can come, the space is wide open. You've got a fantastic playground. You've got access to plumbing, bathrooms, stuff like that. Most of the people will see when they get to Church Street, if it's well marked, park here. We've got our farmer's market. We've got our studios. We've got open space where we can grow. I just don't want to see you miss some opportunities to have for all the parts to complete a whole. I would say from the galleries or Queen Street Park, it's probably 1,000 steps to downtown, if that. And I think those people either go park at the harbor and walk back up or come right in. Once they're there, they can walk the 1,000 steps and I think have a general day. But I think the low hanging fruit, the parking lot, the parking where we wouldn't obstruct parking on King Street, the playground, the open space, and the amount of vendors and type of things you could have. So I just wish everybody could visualize that and see where we want to go. Seems like we're dividing things. Anyway, like to hear my sound of my own voice.
Thank you. All right. Back to Cindy.
I think Laura would like to speak.
Oh, wait a minute. We're gonna, who?
Laura McGowan.
Oh, sorry.
She's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We gotta move this on here.
I'm Laura McGowan and I live in Anacog for about 30 years. And I also have a studio at Anacog School. So I just wanted to address that suggestion to have it there. As much as we would love to have people who are at downtown come to the school as well, it doesn't happen. So the people go downtown, they don't really just gravitate to the school. People don't even know it's there. We're trying to change that. We're working on it. But at this moment, we don't get a lot of foot traffic. And putting the farmer's market at the school, I think would stop a lot of people from being downtown, from going downtown from there. It would just be a separate thing. People might not find it. If they did go, and I would still go, I think at least half of them would not continue on to downtown. There's just not a lot of crossover. When we have events, that's one thing, but day to day, it's not a thing. And most of the people who have studios at the school are there to work, not necessarily be open. So, if the suggestion was that having the farmer's market there would help the artists, I don't think that would really be very significant. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, Cindy, back to you.
Well, as we've outlined, we've talked about this for 2 years. And tonight we need to fish or cut bait, as the saying goes. So I move that the town council approve locating both the summer and winter markets in the Queen Street lot and authorize the town manager and police department to provide signage and enforce parking lot restrictions on Saturday mornings.
Second.
Yeah, see the motion, please.
Discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
I-
comments, yes.
Okay. I'm concerned that this edict that you've written here for this, for what you want for the market.
That's not
with
part of the motion.
No, I thought you said for discussion.
Yeah, but that's not the motion he made.
Well, isn't this what she's talking about?
Not
What do you-
necessarily.
No,
I
that's-
think
Well,
that
it's
might
what
be
it
a little
sounded like.
overly
That's a little overly
complex.
complicated, yeah.
We need to work out those details later.
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, page 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that we need to work out
Yeah,
later.
let's
That's a
talk
little
about
too
page
detailed.
9, just a little.
Well, that's not part of my motion.
What is your motion?
Well,
This-
then why is, okay, just, I'm still talking, do we have a second on the motion? So now we're in discussion.
Yeah.
Good, okay. Page 9, where's the source of this? I mean, this directly affects what we're talking about here, a discussion and vote to authorize the town parking lot. Where's the source? This just appeared in our packet. Where'd it come from?
Actually, it was emailed to us, wasn't it,
It's in our
prior to
packet.
this?
Yeah, right, yeah.
No,
It's not part of the motion. Yeah, right,
I
okay,
understand that,
Right,
but
so
it's
I-
here in our packet.
okay.
I'm
but-
just asking, where's the, who's the source?
I'm not advocating for that in my motion, for that list. I'm saying in my
About
motion,
the police.
That's a part of the motion. That's
Yes.
part of the motion. yeah.
in a general sense, but not that
Let's keep the
specific.
discussion to what's on the table in the motion, not what's speculated in something that's not part of the motion.
So this is irrelevant, you're saying?
Yes.
This has,
Yes,
we don't know the source, but we're not going to discuss it.
it's not part of the motion.
Then please repeat the motion
Okay,
and exactly what you want in there, because I hear something about the police and other things that there's no authorization from this council to give.
well, wait a minute.
That's-
I'll read you the motion
Thank
again.
you.
Approve locating both the summer and winter markets or the farmer's market in the Queen Street lot and authorize the town manager and police department to provide signage and enforce parking lot restrictions on Saturday mornings. I mean, just keep people out of the area where the market would be. You know, it's not complicated. You can't let people park there.
And
They're gonna
that's from
use it,
6 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I guess. Is that correct?
Well, the market would be responsible for roping off the area. They would just ask to, if somebody needed to be towed, basically, yeah. It's not a lot of work on the police department. Yeah. All right.
And that it be part of the wayfinding signage or
Which, all
whatever signage we can get to.
right, any further discussion?
Yeah.
That too is not clear as to what you're asking. If you're saying the signage, this, it's not specific enough.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy, but I think she was thinking more like what we do for parades, just preemptively shutting down Market Street and sections as before the parade comes on. I think that's similar to what you're
I
asking
don't think
for.
so. No.
Isn't
No.
it? It's part of the
Wayfinding
wayfinding
sign.
that
Yeah,
Sarah's been
Sarah's doing
working
it.
on.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, but
You
in
know, it's
regards
part
to
of that package that we haven't finalized yet. That's what I'm
Right.
suggesting.
And police enforcement of those things.
well, we already have no overnight parking in that lot is a thing. So that's not like that's
It
a
is?
new, yes, there's a sign that says
There's a
no
sign.
overnight parking.
So that, yes.
Yeah. So it would just be
And if,
continuation of
I
more.
mean, if someone tries to park in the area where the farmer's market is, we might need the police. It might never happen. I don't know. But we've got to come up with a location for this.
Should have it in Fletcher's lot.
Are you gonna buy it?
No, but I did ask if it could be rented,
No,
Mr. Mayor,
no,
Do you-
a comment?
because,
no, no.
I'm just
I didn't,
talking. Is it okay?
no,
Yes.
no,
It's not a possibility.
no. Thank you.
I'll say it again.
Yes, thank you.
No, we don't.
Sarah?
I'm sympathetic to the concerns about drainage in the Queen Street lot. It's my understanding that the
design and plan for that lot addresses those concerns. And it seems to me that whether there's a farmer's market in that lot or not is immaterial to how the drainage functions. So to make a decision about the placement of the market based on a question of drainage seems like not the way to decide.
Any other
Thank you for
comments?
clarifying that.
Yeah. Any other comments? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Let's call a roll call vote.
Before I guess cast my vote, I just wanted to say that, as I said earlier, this discussion has been going on, it's 2 years,
Well, somewhat.
something like that.
Yeah.
I just got here, okay? And as far as beating the dead horse, the arguments, discussion has been going on for 2 years. I just joined it 30 days ago. I was just voicing my opinion. I mean, granted, I understand my wife has bought stuff from your store, so I do understand that. And like I said, I wasn't trying to beat the horse. I was just throwing my 2 cents in it. That's all I was doing. When he said no more at his place, I said, well, the first thing I thought about was, it's a big parking lot up there, whatever, quick little thought, quick little situation, that's what it is. As most people in here know, I am a mailman. I work at the post office. There's been very many Saturday mornings I ran out real quick and brought fruits and vegetables. So, I mean, it is what it is. If it cannot be, this is gonna be the last time I say this, if it can't be at your place, then the Queen Street is probably where it should be. But I also just wanted to remind everybody, pretty much everybody who got up here and said something, it was, oh, the town for this and the market in the town for this. Let's not forget that that end of Market Street is also in town as well. I live in that town. I pay the water bill just like everybody else. I was just trying to bring a little more, what's the word? To that end of town. That's all I was trying to do. That end of Market Street is part of town as well. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. All right. All right, I'll call for the vote again, or roll call.
Councilmember Figgy,
Aye.
Councilmember Grubb, Councilmember Holdren,
Aye.
Councilmember Marino.
Based upon the number of residents who have come to ask us to approve it and have sent in letters, I do wonder, however, if the email blast that was sent out last Thursday, signed by a council member and Mrs. Foskey, encouraged people to be here to speak. And I don't have any problem with that, but, anyway, with 8 residents asking us to do this, plus the emails, I'll vote yes. But I do have concerns.
No, Councilmember Knock,
Aye.
Councilmember Oswald.
Nay, and I have to stand on principle because I don't think this is the right thing for the town, for the future. Thank you. Not the farmer's market. I'm very much in favor of the market. I am very, very much in favor of that. I just don't think we're talking about doing it in the right place.
Thank you. All right.
Motion carries.
That motion carries. Thank you. All right.
I'd like to make one more comment.
Yeah, let's not. Oh, no, this is important. This is actually important, Joy. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you understand, we've discussed this before. We have to have a special use permit for the market. And in order to lease property to them, there has to be a public hearing. All of that can be scheduled and accomplished next month.
And
That's the implementation of the decision.
And that's been my point, is that we haven't followed the steps that we need to do this, but anyway,
But this-
discussion over.
Thank you. All right. Council discussion, budget 2026.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
we've been here for an hour and a half. Could we take a 1-minute stand-up break?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks to everybody for coming, but they're leaving. I don't think we have much to talk about the budget, do we? Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I did not appreciate Jeff. And Fletcher, I'll tell you, I did not appreciate the professor's comments about our meeting that we were South.
Well, I don't understand what you meant by that.
That was just being rude.
We can't, I don't understand what he meant. I think he just, I don't know what he meant by that.
Shut up.
I didn't.
You're beating it dead horse. What's that
Oh,
mean?
well, I didn't, I was a little confused about that comment too. Yeah. Yeah, it's not, you're right. You don't need that kind of comment. Yeah. It's not a good location. No question about it.
So the Thursday email that went out, Lisa Jan said we're putting in a beer garden in the law and a brewery restaurant in the building.
That has absolutely nothing to do with anything. It's my property. We're not gonna lease it up.
Totally agree.
Okay,
Anybody that asks you what you're gonna do.
I don't know.
No,
I
it's
don't,
not my
that's still,
business.
that,
It's
I
not my
can't,
business.
no
It
comment.
went in an email.
Well, that's the plan, whether that happens or not. There's probably, you know, the economy.
Exactly, Fletcher. That's been my point.
But that has nothing to do with the farmers. Farmers market is successful, probably more successful than economy crashes.
If you don't, then you still want the market.
No, because we might sell it. We're gonna sell it.
You're gonna sell the law that you've done. Really, people ask me all the time what you're gonna do, and I say, it's not my business.
It is.
It's your personal property.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be asking me that.
No, you shouldn't be telling me to go.
No.
But your mics are on.
No, you shouldn't be asking me that. You shouldn't comment on anything that's being said. You shouldn't comment on somebody making public comment. You should be saying, you know. You should. That's why.
You're supposed to. That's
But if you,
yeah.
she told me she was. I didn't hear what you said, and that's why I was. All right, you ready? All right, let's get back together, guys. Oh, unfortunately, we got some stills. The engineering study at the school. The engineering.
Hit the gavel.
That's on here.
If we do another engineering study and spend the money. are we
Ex-
going to spend
Exactly, that. We need to answer that question. Exactly.
The answer to is no,
Well, then what are you gonna do with the building? Just let it fall down?
no. The people who have taken it on as their responsibility as per their lease should do what they need to do. And
They can't do it.
stop
They
begging.
can't do it.
They can put up a pavilion, they can put up all these other things. They can't do them.
That's not, you're in La La Land.
Gavel and bring this.
Okay, we're gonna bring back the meeting to order. Budget 2020 second pass. Anybody have any, is there anything we want to change on the budget?
I had a question.
Okay, please quiet down. Please quiet down. Hello,
Hey,
hey, guys, thank you. Okay, 2025 budget. Cindy, you got a comment?
I just have a question. Matt, I wanted to ask if the, like hiring the company so that we could search the video recordings, if we could do the word search, did that make it into the budget or not?
It didn't. The $7,500 subscription fee.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I was just wondering, since
Okay.
it's not itemized.
That we're gonna get, we can come in, we're gonna get another pass at the budget at next.
Well,
at
there's
the next
also
meeting.
contingency funds. You have
Yeah.
to remember that.
yeah.
We have, the town council has contingency funds, I think of $6,000.
It's actually in the administrative budget.
Yeah, we did move it there, but That's council's contingency.
It is 6,000.
Yeah.
yeah.
It would just be so helpful to be able to search those videos when we're trying to, this is a lot of research.
I
Pull
wouldn't
this
be-
together.
Yeah, I wouldn't give up hope. I think that if you guys are willing to use it, because you're right, it is
Yeah.
time consuming.
It is, yeah. All right, any other questions about the budget? We're going to vote on it next month. So-
I have one, and it's actually the spreadsheet Matt sent out today for the, for salaries. I was looking at grounds and landscaping. You've got a seasonal person listed with no salary. So they're not part of the $749,000, are they?
Oh,
Now, are you hired? Is that for mosquito spraying or is that for
No.
another landscape person?
no, we were gonna hire another landscape person in hopes that it could do the same type of quality work
As
that
Browder.
Browder Height was doing.
Okay,
So, but I just couldn't fit that in.
okay.
But I
Yeah.
wanted to leave it there so you could see that it was considered. That's why the ones with zeros are there.
Any other questions about the budget? Yeah, okay.
Sorry. The 3,000 to 5,000 that the planning commission requested,
Not since last time, no.
can we work that in? Gotta work on that, Lisa.
I mean, I can start stealing hundreds of dollars from line to another line and from another line to another line. I mean, if you want to see the $7,500 plus the 3,000 for planning commission, that's $10,500. That's the amount that we found that allowed us not to have a real estate increase. So 10 grand doesn't, this is, the controllable expenses in this are not all that
We saw.
prevalent.
Is there a way that we could do, how much are the maps? What maps are needed? And can we do it over time? And that way it's not
The
such.
maps aren't that expensive. I talked to the guy at the GIS. That's less than a few $100. I think he charges a few $100.
The
Yeah.
maps are coming this week. I
Ah,
mean,
They're
okay.
not, it's the
Ah.
training and other things that that could be expensive. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then, yeah.
and that's not in there either, so.
But,
I know Casey disagrees with this, but I would prefer for the planning commission to make specific requests. And then we can figure out if we can honor them at that point, rather than a budget line item that's difficult for us to come up with at the moment.
But-
Casey? We
But
should
that
disagree.
eliminates that eliminates the possibility of doing it. If you don't have it as a line item now, and if you don't use it, it's one thing, but if you need it, you don't have it there.
So you're saying you would automatically disagree with a request?
well,
No, then you gotta go hunting for the money out of something else.
Right. But that's what you pay me for.
yeah, I mean,
Okay, fine.
we traditionally do that for small amounts of money. I mean, yeah. we're not-
Exactly.
Right, yeah, yeah. I mean, we might not use our budget for the council for, for continuing, travel and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I think I think we can get maps and some training for a little bit, yeah. Okay, well, that's my opinion. Okay, Sarah?
One comment, just to be sure everybody noticed that in the packet, pages 21 and 22, the pages for police and fire are the same as 23 and 24. So we can just,
we got that in the
We got that
email.
email.
just want to be sure everybody had seen that.
Thank you, okay.
My question is, and I may be looking at things wrong, but I'm looking at page 15. And in the 2025 actual year to date column at the bottom in the totals section,
I'm
Right.
sorry, Sarah, what page did you?
15.
15,
Thank
it shows revenue underrunning expenditures by almost $237,000. When I look at page 34, I don't know if that's the right place to compare to. It shows actual 2025 year to date with a net positive of 555,000. So
That's the-
am I comparing apples and elephants or
Yes,
what?
you are.
Okay,
The page 15 includes water sewer grants. And page 34 doesn't include water sewer grants or grants. Rather, because if you look at the grants on page 15, that's an $858,000 shortfall. It does have water and sewer.
You finished there?
So I need to digest that for a minute. Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more?
Sure. Page 34 doesn't include any grant activity.
Okay.
Page 15 does.
Wait a minute, other way, or is it the other way around?
No,
No.
page 15 includes grants
Okay.
and it shows a shortfall.
Is that where the money's coming in for the capital stuff too? Is it in grant?
No, no,
Okay.
no, we transferred it out of reserves into operating. So you'll see it in administration.
Okay.
I have one question. I'm may be just looking at this incorrectly, but I'm on page 25. And I'm looking at the trash revenue and the year to date.
Right.
68,000 something.
Right.
And the budgeted amount is 109. And do you think we're in the next 2 months of the?
Well, no, this is only through
This is
February.
only through February. The budget, the previous,
Okay.
the
that-
year to
okay,
date is
got
only
it.
through
Oh,
I didn't
February.
realize we were through February.
Yeah,
then.
it came up with. Numbers are just through February, and that's confusing.
Okay. My turn?
Sure.
I'm looking back to page 2 of the minutes from last month when we had the original proposed tax increases. And I didn't see those included in this budget, so I'm going to work off this. Real estate, 4.5% increase, gone, right?
Gone, yeah, I mean,
So the personal property, non-vehicles, 9% stays the same?
it goes, yeah, everything else stays the
Stays
same.
the same.
Yeah.
And that is all on top of the county's 5%.
Yes.
Any other questions about that? We're gonna have another bite at this next month, so you can ask more questions before we vote, okay? All
And
right.
by all means, shoot me.
Please, yeah, and if you have any questions, yeah, if you're concerned about whether something, shoot Matt an email. We can hopefully resolve some of this stuff before we get to a meeting.
Well, mine and Cindy's concern about the inflation rate of 2.4%. You're saying that would, looking at salary increases of 3% and 2.4% would be a difference of, how much was it you told us?
$5,021.
There's our money.
Well, that's not giving anybody a raise, I mean, a little bit of a raise.
No, it's reducing it by 0.6%.
No, but I'm saying, yeah, but it's just getting the cost of living raise, not an actual raise,
Right.
more of that. So they're not gaining anything. Yeah, so, yeah. All right, so we're gonna vote on this next meeting and end up, all right, fire department extractor, this is part of the budget, I guess. This is coming out of this year's. Can you
That
explain
would
that?
be that would, if you decided to do this would come out of this year's reserves.
Yeah.
And we are getting closer to closing on this, on the collection system, just so we know.
Right, so,
You're talking about the HRSD reserves of
Right.
500,000.
if we have money in the reserve, we'd have money to pay for this.
Right, I guess my recommendation would be that if I were coming to you asking to buy an extractor, you would require me to get 3 bids.
Mhm.
I would like to see 3 bids.
Council comments? Yeah.
I agree.
Seems reasonable.
Well, I also am curious whether the fire department has responded to the concerns that Mr. Smith raised in his comment at last month's meeting.
Not to me.
Okay.
I have spoken with a member of the board of the fire department, and he indicated that they're looking at a $4 million building, which is going to be trimmed, because $4 million, that's a lot of money. And that he would much rather see an increase to the budget of the fire department than other things.
Well,
like
yes,
this.
because that would go in perpetuity. I would too if I were him.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's stay on the,
But well, I think his point is, we're going to need other things
Right.
more than. Yeah.
Well,
I'd like to see an analysis of how, what contributions other towns make to their fire department.
I would too.
Yeah, let's get some, so what's the plan? We're gonna ask them to get the bids, or we just wanna,
I don't think it's responsible on our part to hand somebody $35,000 for something that we know nothing about.
yeah, okay. So we're gonna try to you're gonna get them to give us some bids.
I
You're
can
gonna-
talk to chief and.
And then
let
you're
him
gonna
know.
try to get some ideas about what the other departments and on the shore get from their towns.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Could I
you.
also add something?
Yeah.
Mr. Smith's comments, I think were excellent, and I think we should ask them to take a look at coordinating with the other, like Tasley Department and the ones that have those resources to see if there could be a sharing arrangement.
Oh, that would be part of,
That would be like me doing my laundry at my neighbor's house, right?
To other places. Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
think it's a good
I don't know-
Let's not-
I don't
let's-
know the process. I don't want to, I don't.
yeah,
wanna-
let's stick with this first. Yeah. Yeah, we can, yeah, all right. Okay, so Matt's gonna take care of that. Everybody agreed on that?
Back to
Report, yeah, hopefully the next meeting. Although this is not it's not an emergency if we don't, if it takes a
No,
little time, yeah. Discuss HOS engineering report. Sarah, do you, if the school's gonna, I don't know what your,
Hold on, let me get collected. I was preparing that for later, but can you give me a minute?
we can come back to this if you wanna.
Yeah.
I want to ask Sarah a question anyway. You attend the board meetings, correct?
I do ordinarily. I missed the one last week. I was out of town.
Okay, so you would know if something affecting the property was going to happen. They discuss these things at the board meeting, like a pump.
I think we're talking about the engineering report. Let's stay on topic here. Then she's gonna give a report about the school later on. No, this is not part of that. This
My question
is agenda on discussing HOS engineering report. Let's stay with that on 7 number C, okay? And she's gonna report on the historic school later on.
It's going to do the school report.
No,
Sorry.
no.
Would it be possible to ask the roofing contractor and the HVAC contractor to address the May council meeting to talk about their observations of status and directions forward?
I think we're talking about the engineering report.
Well, she's talking about not
I
doing.
don't know what she's talking
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. Yeah.
We're talking about the engineering report. That's what we're discussing. So I have some comments I'd like to make about that, if you can hear me. Council's been asking for this for 6 months. We've been asking for the engineering report. We cannot make a considered decision without seeing an engineering report. This is one of the town's most valuable assets. If there was a problem like this at the wharf, we would ask for an engineering report. I don't know, I'm not an engineering report person. That's not part of my background. Construction, yes, but not that. So what I do when I don't have that background is I contact family and friends who do. I love this quote from one of them. It says, investing in the school's infrastructure without a detailed report by a qualified professional is like driving off a bridge without knowing how deep the water is. Council's been asking for this for 6 months. Please.
And my question back to you last time was, well, let me reiterate it, because if we're going to spend $50,000 and none of you have an appetite to write them a check for $1 million, why would we spend the 50,000? if you're not in favor of financially supporting the school, why spend the money?
How do we know until we see the report?
Because the
Because
report's gonna,
The minimums have been told to us
Right.
on several occasions, and I think I am so glad that you brought it up again, because the question remains, you're gonna spend $50,000 to do a report, and then you've got $1 million sitting there saying, this is what you're gonna spend, and then we sat here and nickeled and dimed the budget so that we could not raise taxes. And then how are you gonna do that without raising taxes?
Well, it's not gonna cost 50,000, first of all,
No,
and
no, I'm not saying that.
he told me it was
I'm
between
not
30 and 60,000.
What the report tells you, is, and we know the report is going to tell us there's a lot to be done. Right? Okay, so who is going to support that lot to be done? Because we nickeled and dimed, I'm serious. We sat here and we took $1 off of that and $1 off that, so that we didn't have to raise taxes. I don't see, okay, just take them 50,000 and throw it out the window. That's what you're doing.
Well, the question is, what if we don't do anything and the boiler fails? What do you, if you're in favor of supporting the school, they don't have the finances to do what needs to be done.
Mr. Mayor, I think you're only in favor of supporting the school lease when it's easy. But to support the lease now is to say they have a lease. The lease says that they came to us and would not ask for money to do any structural or anything else, any repairs.
That you're not in the reality of the real world. You're that's fine. They're not going.
It's a lease or not a lease.
No, but that doesn't mean we can't help them out. It doesn't say we can't. It says they're responsible, but we can help them. So I'm just saying we can help them. There's nothing wrong with doing that. We own the building. So that's my point. So if we don't help them and the boiler fails and the roof collapses, we're negligent, landowner, people. So what are we going to do with the building? They're not going to raise the money to do that. They don't have maybe. That's not, they had somebody that wanted to give specifically to the pavilion. They've had a hard time getting money for people giving specifically to a roof, which is not as sexy as a pavilion. And so, and that's the problem with a lot of, nonprofits. They want to give, somebody wants to give their money, or to a college, they want to give their money to a specific thing and not to replace a roof. So I can understand that. But my question is, I see what you're saying. I'm agreeing with Matt and I'm agreeing with you. We need to decide whether we want to support the school before we spend $50,000, even though we do own the building, and that's not going to go away. So, but if we're not going to do anything with it and let it fall down, what's the alternative? And nobody's come up with an alternative. You're saying you're going to let the school, that's the alternative. Well, they've been there 15 years and they haven't been able to do it. They've done a lot of work, a huge amount of work. The building is not really going to fall down right away. They need some air conditioning, right? Is the main concern. So what are you going to do if you don't do that? That's not realistic to say, let them do it. It's not working. So
then turn the building back over to the town.
Then what are we going to do with it?
Spend the money.
Then I would
Spend the same amount of money.
Then I would spend the money to an asset that we have and that we can control. Like this, every time you turn around, there's something else that they have their hand out for. And
Like
the
what?
lease says,
Like what?
no.
Well, I don't understand what you're making comments that aren't true. They're every time you turn around, they have their hand out. That's not true. Okay. That's just a mischaracterization of them. They've come in, so I just want to plan. If we don't, you don't have another plan is my point. And okay, well, but we need to decide whether we're in.
You spend $50,000 or whatever in engineering.
I agree with you on that point. I do. I think we should have some support for the school before we spend, and I'm not sure we need to spend $50,000 on it, but they've done, it's, one of the board members of the school is the director of the area agency at the Hare Valley. I don't know if you're willing, Hare Valley building. They just got $1 million grant from the state to redo that building.
Yes.
She got a quote to do an engineering study for $50,000 on that building. And she said that was great. We weren't going to do that. They didn't do it. They just got some quotes for the stuff and the state was perfectly happy with that. And the state gave them $1 million. So, it's a newer building, but still it needed a lot of issues. But if there's some way, maybe we can spend 15,000 and get them to look at what we need. Everybody keeps talking about structural problems. The structural analysis hasn't changed. The bricks are still, there. They need a structural analysis on the roof, I agree, and they need somebody to look at the AC. If we can narrow the focus on that, see if we can get a quote for do that. They don't need to come back. The electrical's just been upgraded. That's my opinion. I'm crazy. I would not want to spend $50,000 on.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, but then the question remains, the problems are identified.
Right.
And the dollar signs are there. It's coming out of these people's pockets.
Well, there's different ways
That's where
to.
the dollars are going to come from. And there's no way that I could sit here and be comfortable to say I would vote for that because I was part of this finding a dollar here, finding a dollar
But you
there.
just said you want the town to take it over, and then we'd still have to spend the money on it.
Left it dilapidated for 100
So we're just
years.
going to we have an asset that everybody agrees is very valuable.
It's
To
valuable.
putting some money in it to protect a roof and it isn't in a long, then we should, if you own
Okay.
property, you got to take care of it.
Okay, my point is priorities then. That's what I'm thinking. It's priorities. Putting more money into that building right now is not a priority when we're talking tax increases.
I think.
But neglecting it to the point that it becomes unusable is not responsible.
Well, I think there are other ways to finance it.
To keep it up to the point where it is usable.
Yeah.
That is in their lease.
Yeah, there are other options. We borrowed, $15 million to build a treatment plant. We could look at a combination of borrowing some money that is repaid, over a long period of time. Yeah, yeah.
That's
I agree, but it's a lot less, yeah. So it's better, you have to look at the difference of taking we have a building, it's gonna need work. We can't just ignore it. You're just ignoring the problem. Yeah, you are. You are. Well, then to what?
now that.
Okay, well,
that's a priority when you're trying to keep your tax base level.
I
Can I
understand.
suggest that we each maybe go around and voice our opinions on this topic versus arguing and repeating points? I think
Oh,
we
of course
first
we
from
can do that.
Mavis, we
Yeah.
understand her point of view. Perhaps
Okay, Vice Mayor.
the others could, it's only a suggestion. Perhaps the others
Well,
might
the only thing on
like to
the, yeah.
weigh in.
No, I'm more than willing. I want to hear it. You and I have been talking. And so Sarah, let's get some other opinions. The question is just, about this, is the immediate thing is the study and whether we're going to study something if we're not willing to back it up with supporting it. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I've made my position clear already. I agree that we can have, Sarah, you suggested having a roofing person in, an HVA person in. We've received those estimates in the past from the people wanting to do that. It's like putting a Band-Aid on it, though. It doesn't really solve a problem. It might, we might get a furnace in there that works for a while. I have no idea. Do you have an idea how much a furnace costs? I have no idea.
They're not talking about a furnace. They're
We're
talking
not-
And the
Mini
roof,
splits.
that's what you mentioned, furnace and
not-
roof.
No,
mini
not explicitly a furnace, HVAC.
HVAC.
furnace is a-
Do you have, any clue?
Is,
I was hoping the new director would be here.
He was.
Is he?
We're standing right behind him right there.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
um,
Welcome to Anacog.
Didn't we get a copy of the bid for that? Yeah.
And what was it? Refresh my memory.
270 something. HVAC. Oh, fine. Okay.
500,000.
Yeah. And then the roof was.
So we're looking around $700,000 just to keep the building functioning at this point. I don't know where we're going to come up with $700,000 other than the mayor saying we take out a loan. And that's something I'd want to hear a lot of.
Oh, so do I.
input.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a combination of things. I'm not
And
advocating any
also,
one path.
My second point is, I understand how grants work, you get the low hanging fruit, the easy ones. Instead of putting in a memorial garden, things like that, and I understand they got the grant or whatever, but you know, focusing on priorities, you're shaking your head no.
They haven't gotten a grant for that.
How's it being funded?
Nothing more than a long-range plan. That's all.
Thank you. I thought it was in, ready to go, so thank you.
To me, this is another topic that we just endlessly churn ideas on and we never get anywhere. And I personally am a person that likes to move forward one way or the other. So I think it would behoove all of us to make a decision. We've made decisions on this before. We haven't executed them. So apparently those weren't decisions that we all supported or could execute for whatever reason.
Are you talking about the engineering report? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
we've directed at least 2 other meetings that report be obtained.
And,
I supported it as well.
and as I recall, based on the specifications in the request for the report, the town manager wasn't able to find a provider who was willing to generate that report. Am I remembering that right?
Who said that the average cost is $30,000 to $60,000. And I stopped at that point because of the conversation.
Rightly so, yeah, I think you're right, yeah. All right,
Thanks.
And the question is, again, spend the money and then what?
Well, I mean, if you still own the building, yeah, I'm sorry, Lisa, yeah.
I'm not super excited about spending $50,000 on a study. We do know that the HVAC needs to be dealt with and the roof will need to be dealt with. We know that. I am interested in trying to find a way to support the school because it is an asset to the town. Whether we spend it now with them as the managers of the property or we spend it later as a dilapidated property in the middle of town, we're going to spend it. I would like to see, I think the school has grown leaps and bounds. They have 100% occupancy, I believe, for their residents. They have all these community events. Actually, as in my council comment, I was going to mention that the Family Field Day is this Saturday, a free event for the community to come out to. They really are an economic driver. They're a great organization. They've done wonderful things. I understand the pavilion was not the greatest idea for everybody in town, which created a lot of negative feelings towards the school, which I find unfortunate. But I do support them, and I'd like to find a way for us to be able to support our building on a capital level.
How?
Well, that's something we would need to discuss. What does potential funding look like from a grantor, or maybe there's a mixture of some of our reserves? That's something that we would sit down with the town manager once we've directed to figure out how we would fund this.
So are we prepared to make a decision to that effect? To pursue how to fund the repairs to the roof and to the HVAC?
I think we're fine with it. Let's get the
$50,000 is a lot of money for
Okay.
something we already know we need to do.
I'm not hearing any support for the study, really.
I read something.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remember that?
I'm not hearing a majority of people supporting it.
No.
I mean, I'd be in support of a limited, if we could get some limited thing and not spend, 60,000.
Do you want me to try to come up with some alternatives for you to look at for how to pay for $700,000 worth of repairs?
Well, I think if the council's, if their support, the issue is that what happens if we don't do anything? Joy, what are we going to do if we don't do anything to the school? Yeah, you don't want to, if we don't do anything, what's your plan?
The engineering.
I know, but
study,
why do an engineering story if we're not going to do anything about it? What's the next step if we don't?
Where we get $700,000.
Well, that's what he-
That's what I'm just asking.
That's what I just asked. Would you like to hear that information or,
Would
and,
council like to hear that?
well, of course, I wouldn't mind hearing it. We don't have to act on it. Yeah.
No, we wouldn't. We
No, but the
just
question is,
alternatives.
yeah, there could be a lot of different scenarios, I don't know. The other question is, what are we going to do about the engineering study? That's what on the agenda here. Or we want to wait until him to come back and, kick
I
it
think
down
the
the-
mayor had an interesting suggestion. If the study was something that you all wanted to continue to do, maybe we narrow the scope of it so we would reduce the cost to us.
Well, I don't want to narrow it down so much that it's not any worthless.
So, but you
Yeah.
mentioned the items
Yeah.
that we know need assistance.
Then what would be the difference in the studies that have already been done
They're-
and that we've already paid for?
Well, they're older, yeah.
Oh, okay, they're older, but so it's gonna cost more, but it's the same problems.
Uh,
It's
I
the
agree with
same
Maphis on this
problems.
one. Yeah.
All right, well, then the only thing we've come up with is do we want Matt to come up with some, or if we're going to support the school, come up with some numbers and look at that before we decide on, spending any money on the school, if that's even doable. If people aren't interested in spending any money on the school, it's, then that's another discussion. Yeah. Oh, have anybody agreed on that?
Well, this is only under council discussion.
Yes,
yet,
right,
So we
yeah.
don't have to do anything.
But we can ask him to get
We
the
can
numbers
ask.
together. That's not we're not going to act on that. Yeah.
To me, it seems that we have that the primary issues are known, that the multiple previous studies have identified issues. We know what the changes have been since those have been done. And I would rather see expenditures focused towards resolving those issues than repeating the same work that doesn't get farther in the condition of the building.
So we're back to the issue about whether we want to support the school with a financial plan. So we need to get that from Matt first. Is that correct?
And
Okay.
I would be in favor of
Okay.
getting guidance on what possibilities might
Yeah,
exist.
and that's exactly what it would be.
Guidance.
And maybe we could talk to the engineer from down then if there is a way to, what they can do for that some smaller study or something while we're waiting. Why not? A phone call's not going to hurt anybody.
No.
And
it's
they
not.
might say, no, we got to do the whole thing, or they might say yes. So, all right, is everybody agreed on that he's going to come back
I
with?
think you added to that you would talk to the HVAC people,
No.
the roof people, and get an estimate.
No, that's not what I said.
We already
No.
have those.
We already have those.
We have those.
We have those.
So what was your last part?
About talking to the engineering people, if they would if they could narrow the scope of the plan and just look at the HVAC and the roofing, and not have to spend $60,000 to $50,000. That's just a telephone call. I'm not committing anything to anything, All right, are we agreed on that? We don't need a motion or anything. Okay. All right. Planning Commission report. I think,
And I, since I missed it, I'd ask Casey to give the report.
Casey's still here? I don't see.
Yes, she's here. I know that conversation you just had was frustrating, but I actually think there was progress made. It's just hard to see in the heat of the moment, right? When people step away from it, I think you'll see. I think actually there's been progress in a lot of the conversations. It's just really painful. There's no way around it. Okay, the Planning Commission met on 8 April, but without our esteemed council member, Cindy Holgren, which is why I'm giving this report. The draft of our bylaws still awaited comment by the town attorney, so we were unable to advance that project. And I don't know if we'll be able to advance it next week either, because you're doing budget. So we'll get there. We'll get our bylaws done in the next month or two. I offered an opening statement describing the comprehensive plan's role and function as a policy document. At this point, the members of the commission are developing familiarity with state and local codes relating to comprehensive plans. We held a detailed discussion about the current plan's strengths, weaknesses, and absences. It was a really productive conversation. We also began to articulate a timeline for our work. At this point, we're still working on that, and I hope to clarify that more next week. But at this point, we anticipate holding a number of public sessions beginning in mid-September. So that'll get us, because we're not going to get anybody in the summer. And we're in the process of figuring out how to go out to where people are, rather than just assume that they're going to come to us. So that's an ongoing process, and I want to talk to some folks about that, some of you guys about that.
So by then, by mid-September, we hope to have some materials to which citizens can respond. I'm not sure what format they'll take, but in my experience, people do better when they have something to look at. And then they can say yes, no, maybe, or add their own material to it. So we'll have something by then. In our next meeting, we will work on setting assignments, developing the timeline, and becoming familiar with the zoning map and maps in the comprehensive plan. Discussing about maps, one of the reasons I was talking about money was not that it was not the maps that would be distributed us just next month, but I've got to do some more research on GIS, but we may want to actually generate some maps that don't exist yet. So we'll have to figure that out, because one of the things that I'm thinking about is layered maps that people can put together different things to come up with different information, right? There's a shortage of data about the physical environment here. And so I'll be talking more about that, and we'll be talking more about that as we get going, but we may be wanting to generate maps, online maps that can be in GIS, that can be layered to answer different questions. The updated maps may be the best way for us to share some complex data in a variety of formulations. For example, what property is owned by the town that happens to be in the riparian zone? That's one we probably know the answer to already, but you see what I mean? Where you put together a couple of different layers. I'm going to start to do research on that, and I'm beginning to work on that right now with help from Jim McGowan. So finally, I want to thank the members of the public who've attended so far. We're working to develop a meeting format where public comment is integrated into the agenda as different topics are discussed, as you did this evening. The new members of the Planning Commission are still getting to know each other, but it's a talented bunch, and I really look forward to working with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Lisa, EDA?
No meeting.
No meeting. Well, that's good.
May I ask? We have an open seat on EDA.
Yes.
When do you plan on filling that? Because I'm just asking because if I applied to serve and never heard from anybody.
I haven't heard of any applications. Have you gotten any in, Matt?
None.
We have no application.
No.
For the EDA?
Yeah.
We appointed the one person that applied.
Oh, okay. I'm the
Kendra,
planning.
you
commission
are,
then.
yeah.
Planning.
Yeah,
commission.
there is an opening on the planning
And
commission.
we have 2 applicants.
Yeah, and we didn't put that on the agenda tonight. We should have. It wasn't on the agenda, so we need to put it on at the next meeting. That was my fault. Yeah. I think we should have, that should be an agenda item.
It's just a courtesy.
Yes, no,
you know,
we
if
should, and
somebody applies.
I'm sorry, I should have put that on the meeting tonight. All right, Nancock Main Street.
Okay, we have welcomed Michael Hartman to our board, recently retired owner of DBI Architects in Washington, D.C., and is an Onancock native. We're very excited to have his skills. On Friday, we submitted a downtown investment grant to Virginia Main Street. The scope of the grant is for facade improvements for existing downtown businesses, which could be pressure washing, lighting, window displays, etc. We will also propose some money be set aside for to work with some of our empty storefront owners to do some displays to continue to make the downtown look a little bit more vibrant, even though there's not an active business in that location. We are also working, we're going to bring in a consultant to work with businesses on, it's kind of like an educational piece on how to keep, your storefronts fresh and what's inviting to the public. So it's not just handing money for a one-time done situation. We're also going to give this educational piece for continued use. We are also asked for money for our Open for Business program, which would allow us to do digital display ads, public relations, and social media to promote our dedicated website page for the available commercial properties in town. That was for the DIG grant. And then we have selected our 2 finalists for the Uptown Murals and the Mosaic production for the new Welcome Center bathroom building at 38 Market Street has begun production through New Ravenna. And we've seen a first couple of shots and they look fabulous. So we're very excited about that. We are also finalized we're doing 2 seasonal rack cards, one for fall and one for spring, that we will be distributing to to welcome centers throughout the state of Virginia. And they are not to promote Main Street, they're to promote the whole town of Anacog. Thank you.
And did you introduce Maggie Shubin?
Maggie was introduced last
Oh,
week.
she was?
Yeah, or
Oh,
last month.
oh,
yeah.
sorry. I forgot she was. Okay. Any questions on Main Street? Okay, thank you. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Thank you. Historic and Hancock School.
I have an introduction to make, and that is Corey Kavulich. He's in the back, the new executive director. He brings extensive experience in community building, event planning, and fundraising for multiple organizations, and is an excellent choice for the position. We're confident that with his leadership, Friends of Anacog School's success and impact in realizing its mission will flourish. He appreciates everything that the Historic Anacog School has to offer, and that makes him the perfect candidate. We're also grateful to Joni Donahoe for the more than 10 years of dedication, inspiration, and hard work that she put in at the school, without which I don't think we could possibly be where we are now. So we're grateful to Joni, and we look forward to the next chapter with Corey. The first big public event of that next chapter is, as Lisa mentioned, this Saturday, the field day from 11 to 3. It'll be outdoor fun and games. We're hoping for good weather. Competitive events and free play events. Kelly Harris will be doing live music and her clown act. And we're partnering with the volunteer fire department, who will be selling hot dogs and hamburgers. And that their sales will benefit the fire department. There will be raffles for prizes donated by local businesses, and there will be adult beverages for sale. It's free to attend, but if you pre-register on the school's website, that enters you into a raffle. So I would suggest that, and hope that it will be a great day for everybody. At the other end of May, Blooms and Brushes is on Saturday, the 31st, also from 11 to 3. It's a walking tour of Anacog Gardens, local gardens in Anacog, not to be confused with the Anacog Gardens neighborhood outside of town, with painters working on plein air. This year, the reception and art sale will not be on the same day, but on the following Wine Wednesday, June 4th. And tickets for that are on sale at the school, historicanacogSchool.org. And then looking ahead to the beginning of July, the OBCA Ice Cream Social on the 3rd of July will be at the school again from 5:30 to 7:30 with ice cream and with music by the community band. Also, there've been a number of comments about the irrigation well that was put in for the pavilion. It was funded with pavilion money, and it was permitted by the DEQ and the county. And so all the permits were in place. Everything was legit as far as I understand. And the hope is that having that irrigation source will be a factor in helping to resolve the sand spur issue in that back lawn, which has made sitting on the grass a painful thing and walking on the grass a painful thing for dogs. So that's the purpose of it, and hope that clears up any questions.
Any questions from?
Yes. In last month's minutes, Sarah, you reported that they've applied, the HOS has applied for several grants to help complete the pavilion construction. Did they receive those grants?
I was not at the meeting on Thursday. I don't know. I'm gonna look to.
$5,000 or Smith grant, and that's the only one.
That's
How
fantastic.
much more is needed to complete the pavilion?
How much more is needed to complete the pavilion? What does that have to do with the grants? I'm not quite sure.
Well, you said you received 35,000. I just wondered if that was enough.
It's toward the completion of all of the different things. I mean, Rick, do you have numbers? I don't have numbers off the top of my head right now. In place.
And one thing I neglected to say, we're hoping to receive the certificate of occupancy by the beginning of the summer. Is that fair to say, or by? Okay. 45 to 60 days, you said. Every finishing bit of work may not be done, but it will be finished enough to be able to begin to use it.
Any questions for, go ahead.
I appreciate the events report every month. However, I would like to know of substantial things like a pump happening at the pavilion or on the property. I don't want to be surprised and find driving by that there's all this equipment there and nobody knows what until I go and ask. And I did ask, and I did follow up with DEQ and everybody else. I recognize all the permits were there. I get that. But if I had known in advance that this was happening, I wouldn't have had to do that. And I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Any other questions, sir, Sarah? Okay, I apologize. We kind of mixed up the public comments. So if you didn't get a chance to make a public comment before, I didn't cross off the people that didn't speak. So anybody wants to make a public comment? Get you Glenn first. You're in the front. Get you next down.
Glenn Smith, 12 Market Street. Last month, I spoke about the extractor, and I stated, I believe that there were 4 in the county. Since I spoke last week, the county purchased 2 more, and they're going to be stationed at Painter Firehouse. So Nancock might want to look at getting one of them put in their building up here before we pay for it.
Are you saying that the county is offering those?
No, well, the county since I spoke last month, the county purchased 2 more extractors.
Where did they go?
Well, they're in boxes at the Painter Firehouse right now. So,
Jump on it.
what, if the county's buying them, why are we gonna buy them? And if the county's putting them in firehouses that have county employees in them, Onancock has county employees in their firehouse. Okay, that's $35,000 we don't need to spend. Okay, secondly, I understand we're looking for the 5th police officer. I had also heard that there are 3 police officers leaving in only over the next several months, and that the town of Accomack is looking for a possibility of police protection. So maybe it's time that the 3 towns get together, and instead of everyone having a department, we have 1 department to cover 3 small towns. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey?
Hello, everyone. Corey Kavulich, on Hancock, Lee Street. Just wanted to say a few things. My name is Corey Kavulich, and I'm the new Executive Director of Historic Hancock School. I accepted this position because I support the mission and vision of this school and what they provide the community. When you walk through the doors of the school, you are captured with the presence of all of the truly gifted tenants we have. As an Hancock resident, seeing a space repurposed to provide affordable and accessible space, local artists and businesses is truly something I'm behind. I'm excited for the future of this space and to maintain our amazing community-driven goals. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for not stepping up. Okay.
Good meeting you.
Okay, who else? Public comment? I thought there was somebody else. Oh, go ahead. Mark. I'll get you. Okay, Mark. Okay, go ahead. Mr. Devaney?
In your packets will be eventually a note from me and it pertains to the capital expenditures, the CapEx for the school.
We've
So
got that
we
already.
have- Yes, you
Was
have a
distributed.
report
Yeah.
that goes back 14 years. And in that report is a total accumulation of costs for projects. If you adjust those dollars for inflation, you'll come to a current number or thereabouts. But that doesn't include what technological advancements might come on heating systems and so forth. But breaking it out to the things that some council members have talked about tonight, there are per taxpayer charges here, and they are not insubstantial. Over the course of a 20-year loan, you were looking at thousands and thousands of dollars. So you can say, you know, we know what's there. We've managed this all along with a wrench and a hammer and a screwdriver, and we've done just fine. That's okay. But places that do it well, and I assume that this school wants to be managed well, are in there every year, and they're in there every 5 years. So there are a lot of things to commend you all for this budget, coming in with a flat real estate tax tonight. That's nice to see. But my guess is that there's even more that can be had there to do the right kind of study so that the school can either be made the way it should be as an historic building, or you make that tough decision that I don't think anybody wants to make, which is a tough call for a community like this. I understand. So that'll be it here. Okay.
Thank you. Who else we got? Dana? Let's get Dana first. Sorry.
I think we may have an opportunity with, I guess, town employee was asked to leave anyways. So there's nobody to do the mosquito spraying this year. And last year, I spoke to Matt because I was concerned. Where we lived for 25 years, we asked the first year if the truck could not come to our property. And we do not have any mosquito problems there. We have dragonflies, frogs, purple martins, all kinds of natural predators. And I came down to Onancock to move into town, and I got so chewed up last year. And I noted that the man would come on Tuesday nights, and it was just as full of mosquitoes on Wednesday morning, Thursday day. And I think that possibly the mosquitoes are resistant now to what was being sprayed. And Matt very kindly provided me with the information of what it was, so I Googled it. Biomist 1.5 and 7.5 ULV 08. The US EPA has a warning on that it's extremely toxic to aquatic organisms, including fish and invertebrates like frogs. It should never be used around any bodies of water, and especially where there's runoff into bodies of water. On the product, which is made by Clark, the safety sheet says it's highly toxic to bees and will kill them. So Onancock's filled with gardens, beautiful gardens, and lots of fish ponds. I actually have one that's right up against Lilliston Street, across the street from me. Jackie has a fabulous fish pond full of amazing koi that are his children. And up the street, this is just our little dead end, there's a little stream that runs parallel to Lilliston. It fills up with water every time it rains. And Joe's puddle ducks love to get in there and splash around. So I would love it if we could just stop that spraying for 1 year, 2 year, maybe 3 years, and see if all of our natural help can come back and assist us. And that would save, what, $8,000, $9,000, and maybe that could help with the planning positions needs. I think it's, when I asked last year if there was any possibility Lilliston Street could be omitted from the spraying because all of my neighbors also don't want it, Matt said no. I think that as a resident, it's really important for each owner to be able to define whether or not their property is sprayed. I know that in many other towns, you can opt out, and I've spoken to people in 6 different neighborhoods that do want their neighborhoods to opt out. We're circulating petitions now so that we can give you something, to present to you so that you really hear from the people.
Time's up.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else we got? Pete? Hi, Mark. I'm sorry. We'll get to you.
On Meadville. And I just want to say about the spraying of the mosquitoes. I had 5 hives since I moved here. They've all died. And I moved them over onto Hermitage, one of the farms, Duke, Shanahan. They're thriving. I got another one in Parksley and they're thriving. So I know the spraying is doing some, because they were overstressed, and I've never had hives die. I've had hives up in Rhode Island, I've had them in Maryland. But, you usually had netting when I grew up on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. You'd sit out on your porch and, you'd have the black mosquitoes that could get through the screen, but you wouldn't turn the lights on. So, but that's one thing. I think you should pause on spraying. I know it's inconvenient because of the mosquitoes, but the other thing I was sort of interested was the lease on the building. All the improvements that are going on. If you do all the improvements, will the lease go up so that the school would have to pay more?
I'm sorry, they don't pay anything now.
I know.
Yeah,
So
right.
you're doing all these improvements. So where's the money going to come? The other thing is, it's a nonprofit organization, right? Is it?
Yes.
Is it accredited?
Yes, 5013C.
So the purpose of a director of any nonprofit organization is to raise money. Cheney, who has a building, a company here, and they've used the docks to haul the grain up there. They just gave $1 million to museum in Maryland, and they don't even have an office down there. But the director of that museum or that nonprofit organization was able to con them to give them $1 million to put a building in. So if you're going to have, if you have a nonprofit organization and you're paying for a director, his main function is to raise money, and it could start small. But there's a lot of people around here. You got Purdue, you got all these different organizations that could probably donate money to the school. You could put a plaque name, and this was donated by Purdue, or this one was donated by whoever. But I think if you have a school that's nonprofit, they should have a director that needs to raise the money to go fix all these things. I think the property's beautiful. But that's my say.
Okay, you're up.
Good evening, Mark Sinclair again. In regards to the Nancock School, first of all, the school does have a director, and the last director has just been instrumental for the amount of money she's raised for that school. To tell you, they want to have an elevator here in this building. They can't afford it. There's a new ADA elevator in the school because of Joni. One of the problems that you'll find regarding a building like the school, it is a nonprofit and they're trying to seek foundation support, but they don't own the building. Foundations do not like giving you money for buildings you don't own. They'll give you money for projects. They'll give you money for anything that you say is ADA. Let me tell you something, they will throw money at you. And that's how they get funding for what they're doing. They can't go in and say, hey, we need a new roof. Well, they've needed a new roof forever. But they can't get foundations to give them money directly. That's why they came to you to help get a loan co-written so they could get a loan to work on fixing the building. They've tried every option. They keep coming back with answers and you just keep giving them more questions. Now, you say you want more studies, another engineering report. Well, as you've all No, you have multiple engineering reports that have already been done and you haven't acted on any of them. So what's going to happen this time? And when you get right down to it, engineering companies don't keep coming back giving bids to people that don't give them work. I used to renovate houses in Thornton Air Conditioning. After I got 2 bids and didn't pick them, they wouldn't bid a job for me again. And I understand that because it costs them money every time they write a bid. The only solution I can possibly give you is take every engineering report you have and go to an engineering company and saying, what will 5,000 get me? Look at these and tell me where we are today compared to where we were then. We don't need a whole new report. Just come look at the building. And if you don't want to spend that 5,000, just walk in the building yourselves. Look at the report I referenced that had 120 pictures of what that building looked like back in 2011. And look at what that building looks like today. And it's all because of money that the Onancock School raised and spent on that building. Now, if you want them to go away, I'm pretty sure you can keep kicking them and they'll go away. And then you'll have the building and you can do whatever you want with it. But if you don't want to be responsible for the building, help the school. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's does it for public comment. All right, mayor's report. I don't have much. I did a 2-day bus trip with the Chesapeake Bay group, a consortium of like 7 states that recommends a policy for the Chesapeake Bay, and they offered a bus tour of southeastern Virginia, mostly about how runoff and stuff is affecting the bay. Joy and I did one last year up in Delmarva, similar type thing. It's really great. I think the interesting thing, we stopped in, you think towns have problems. We stopped in Hopewell and, looked at they're spending a lot of money to do a little waterfront walk on the Appomattox River, and they've got a lot of issues going on in Hopewell that make ours look tiny. Then we stopped at one of the Dominion Energy, solar farms, 3,600 acres. Not much, we don't have too many. Town doesn't really have any solar farms in the town, but it was quite an amazing sight to see 3,600 acres of solar cells. The interesting thing is we stopped at HRSD, which is what the HRSD SWIFT project, which I'm not sure you're aware of, but they're developing a program to re-inject treated water back into the water table. And they're spending $2 billion on this. They have 4 PhD people working, and they also have 4 candidates. They actually give PhD degrees to people that study wastewater treatment at this one of 2 places in the United States. So, we're part of HRSD. I think we can't say enough for these people. They're, really out for the quality of the water, and they're looking at injecting 45 million gallons of water, treated water, back into the water table, which is actually going to raise the water table, actually stop land subsidence in the Norfolk area as well. And they're treating it to a standard much higher than what we do in our plant. It goes through another plant before it's injected. And it's just an incredible project. They built a 48-inch lane, they're closing a plant in Newport News, and they built a 48-inch pipe all the way under the James River. And they did a 5,000-foot directional drill, which is the largest one that's ever been undertaken in the world, pulled a 48-inch pipe through there. So it's just an incredible, amazing thing. If you get a chance, I think it's open to the public if you want to go look at it at some point. So, and the final thing is we stopped at for a conference at the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, and this goes to our parking lot. And they gave a presentation on what they did to their parking lot. And they have a brand new parking lot that's ecologically, it's got permeable pavement they put in. It's quite an engineering feat. I was incredibly impressed. It did cost $850,000 though, and it was about half the size of our parking lot. But there are ways to do it, and I think we should look. Drainage is an issue with this parking lot. We're still got decided about this. I think we can look at things. And I think it's worth looking at other options for that if what we do, isn't, happy with everybody. But that was interesting, to look at their plan and how the drainage thing worked. That's about all I've got. I don't think there's anything coming up. Does anybody have any announcements about anything coming up in the next month except for the field day? I think we're all set for that. When is Second Fridays? Is that starting? May 9th. Yeah, that's not, yeah. So please support Second Fridays. That's a really good thing. All right, town manager's report.
Let me quickly go through them. We started the street sign projects. You saw we've got Ames and Market, we've got South Street, and we've got Mount Prospect and Market. We've got, our next batch is going to be around Town Square. The paving on Liberty Street got delayed primarily because I was on vacation and I couldn't give them a scope of work without being on site. So I'm meeting with them this week. I met with HRSD regarding the meter replacement. He's coming back again this Wednesday to talk more specifically about lead times, about starting to stage. So it's happening. It's just happening a lot slower than I wish it would. Habitat for Humanity has prepped the site, but the real exciting part for us was they had about 25 students come in to talk with the chief and with me. And they're going to be they're too young to work on the site. So they're going to coordinate a 5K race that starts and ends on the job site for a fundraiser. So super group of young people. And lastly, I know some folks have been asking me about the 3-hour parking signs. We did get the land use permit from VDOT. And now at this point, Chief and I are literally trying to figure out where these signs are going to be mounted and how they're going to be best understood. So I guess with that, there's also, it's finals week for me, so I've got my last master's in public administration certificate assignment this week, so I'm excited about that being done.
Okay. When paving, are we gonna do King Street with that little piece there that's next to Brandon's house?
No,
Oh,
the reason we're not is because we have to connect the fire hydrant back.
Oh, okay, I wonder, okay.
Yeah,
And
but we're
second,
gonna do in front of Lilliston, we're gonna do in where Sunset Park is, where that big leak was that one time. And we're gonna obviously do Liberty and Hill.
okay,
And-
I'll second, okay. Go ahead.
Is that why the, sorry, Sarah. Go ahead.
Is the paving that you mentioned in front of Williston sidewalk as well as street?
No, that's the cement. Once we replace the meter box, that's when we'll get the cement leveled. That sidewalk panel that is
Gone.
chewed up, yeah.
Is there anything temporary that can be done, given that that is next to the handicap parking place?
I mean, I can always,
I don't
Put
know, I
cement-
don't know if gravel is worse or better, but
Well, we can-
that's just a particularly unfortunate place
okay.
for that hole to be.
No, we could fill it with either crushed concrete, which kind of flows away during the rain, but it eventually hardens. Or we could use 57 stone in there. I just don't think it's deep enough to do much of either.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'll take a look at it. I know that, I mean, the worst thing would be we just get Wayman down here and have him fix it and then tear it up when we do
Cause
the meter.
every time I go by there, I have to be sure I
Yeah.
skirt around that, and
No, I understand.
I would hate for somebody to get really injured
That's what I,
in that hole. So thanks for keeping a look on it.
yes.
Could you put the street no parking signs as a priority? Because we've been waiting along. Is there any, I think people are interested in getting that up as soon as possible. So talk with the chief and get your signs ordered. And that's my
Okay.
opinion. I think council's probably may agree with me on that one. All right, any other comments?
Yeah. The fire hydrant by Brandon's house has an out of order color on it.
Because it's not connected to water.
Why?
Because when we had that leak,
Yeah.
we couldn't, it was a weekend and we couldn't attach a T. We didn't have a T to attach it to, so we put a straight line, and now we'll go down in and replace the straight line with a T, but you have to realize that's gonna shut water down. That's a huge line, so it's gonna put a lot of people out of water for,
So what's the solution?
well, we're gonna,
Shut
We're-
it down and
yeah,
fix it?
we're gonna fix it. Yeah.
What's the time frame on that?
I don't know.
Are you waiting to get another person in DPL to help you out?
I am.
Yeah,
I
okay.
would just be concerned if it was a fire hydrant near my house. That was not
They
functioning.
you can help me with this one, but each fire truck houses 1,500 feet of linear hose.
1,500 gallons of, they carry 1,000 gallons of water.
Right, but how much hose to reach the nearest hydrant?
Supply hose, they each carry at least 800 feet.
So
And
you're,
our hydrants are 600 feet apart.
Okay,
So if you have one dead hydrant, that means you need 1,200 feet.
of hose,
Right,
which we do not have.
We have multiple trucks though. I mean,
right, you have
yeah.
multiple trucks.
Right,
yep.
right, yeah.
Each truck holds
Yeah.
about, they're supposed to hold 600, most of them hold 800 feet.
Well, I know it's less than 600 feet from the hydrant in front of your house over to front of Brandon's house. Yeah.
Yes, but,
Yeah.
okay, the next fire hydrant down towards the wharf,
Yes.
too close to the ground to be utilized properly.
All right. Yeah.
So that's another problem.
But we're going to get it fixed though, right? Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
Are any other questions for Matt? Yes.
Yeah.
Sarah?
any updates on the meals tax issues?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, I have court dates for May 8th.
Thank you.
Good. Are all the streets in town getting new signs?
No, only downtown,
Just downtown?
just downtown.
That's what I thought.
Any,
And then hopefully eventually we're gonna broaden it out.
any other comments? Mike? No, okay, all right, I think we're about done. Town council comments, Omar? Oh, I don't think she's here anymore. We don't have a police report, do we?
We didn't get one.
We didn't get one, so
Yeah, it
Good
wasn't
point.
included with my packet.
Eric was sick tonight, so yeah, he couldn't, yeah. He was supposed to,
Well, the chief is here.
Kim was here.
Kim was here.
Kim was here earlier, but yeah. So we'll get a police report at next meeting, yeah. Omar? What? You're next. Nothing?
No.
Cindy?
No.
Joy?
Yes, I do. First, I want to say kudos to Bizzoto's and Bakery for their flower pots. They are just exceptional. I love them. I'm glad to know we're going to fill the commission seat. I've had calls and people have stopped me about Janet's building.
Oh.
There was a very unsafe situation going on there for a while. Somebody fixed it. I don't know who temporarily. Is there anything we can do about that? Like this orange stuff back here is just an eyesore, the fence and everything.
Aware of that can happen is that if a building project doesn't go, or I'm sorry, goes longer than 6 months without an inspection, they have to get a new permit.
Really? That's all.
Well, a permit on a 2,000 square foot building it's probably $1,000. So it's
Yeah.
worth moving forward.
One day last week, I was walking by and saw a bird fly into the hole where the upstairs stairway used to be attached.
I don't think that's a public health issue.
Okay.
Okay.
I would.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Okay, good.
okay. Any other comments? Are you still going?
Um,
You missed your. No,
she said no.
no. She did. It's your turn. Yeah, keep going.
The mosquito spraying. In the past, residents have been able to opt out. I know people who have. Are we saying now that you cannot opt out? Because Catherine Krause and I addressed this issue 7 years ago.
We last year, we had several people opting out and then their neighbors were coming over and saying, now every mosquito in the neighborhood is coming over to my yard because they don't want to spray in their yard. So I came to you all and said, do do we spray or do we not spray? And you said, we're a town who sprays for mosquitoes. That's why I gave the response that I gave to the Simpsons.
Is this something we want to put on the agenda to talk about mosquito spraying? I mean, there's also a health issue for this West Nile virus. Nobody mentioned that about mosquito spraying. So I think we need to have a discussion. Does anybody concerns about mosquito spraying? Do you want to bring it up as a council discussion? Okay, well, but
And the reason for that is that the standing water issues all around town are just hotbeds for mosquitoes. And every rain on Meadville, Sturgis, all those streets, you can see the standing water for days.
yeah, I don't want to get in a debate about the mosquito spraying right now. Is that something we want to talk about? Or are we happy with what's the status quo? So we don't have to decide that tonight, but let's think about it. And if you want to, we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Let me know by email.
I mean,
And if we get,
I can, if somebody wants to opt out, I'm happy to.
well, that would be
opt
part of the
out, but-
discussion. I think we should have it.
But
I understand what you're saying.
it's just, I mean, it's a mist.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You
So
know.
I think if people want to put it on the agenda, email me. And if we have two people that want to talk about it, the agenda, it'll be agenda item at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought we were going in closed session tonight to discuss personnel.
We don't have any new information, so we're going to wait until
When
next
are we
time.
expecting new information?
I can't talk about it. I'll tell you later, privately. Yeah.
I just had one comment. And it's really a reminder. May 15th, Matt, we said that you would get us the template for your evaluation that you
Yep.
were suggesting. I just didn't want you to forget about it.
My evaluation and my job description.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I did email Kathy Carmody in case you hadn't had a chance to reach out to the county about getting their template. So maybe she'll just try to help out. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Turn that mic
No
off.
more.